Chapter 1303. Tan Xiu took a deep breath and nodded. I promise I'll give you a satisfactory explanation in the future. Also, I, the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor, owe you a favor. If you have any requests in the future, you can come to the Great Tang Empire to look for me. Finished. Tan Xiu took out all the immortal stones, crystals, and crystal nuclei and handed them over to the beautiful woman in charge of the convict arena. Then, he said, 6 perfected golden immortals, including Sable Fiend Scorpio. According to my calculations, there are 84. 6 million crystal essences in total. Even if we borrow 20 million crystal essences, we are still short by more than 600,000 crystal essences. A strange light flickered in the woman's eyes as she slowly nodded and said, I'll waive the 600,000 crystal essences for you. Finished. She personally took out 6 soul tablets and handed them to Tan Xiu. Then, she personally opened the 6 iron cages and untied each of the chains that bound the almighty immortals. Sable Fiend Scorpio, Celestial Stone Golems, Fire Fiend Lion, Golden-Eyed Great Peng, Lupus Monstrous Wolf, Nether Sea Whale King. From today onwards, the 6 of you are the slaves of this Great Tang Heavenly Emperor. I've already handed over your soul tablets to him. From now on, your lives are in his hands. The beautiful woman coldly glanced at the 6 of them and said in a deep voice. Each of the 6 deathmatch gladiators who had experienced 300 battles in the prison cage stared at Tan Xiu. Their bodies were filled with a deathly aura, and their eyes were filled with arrogance and defiance. Even if Tan Xiu controlled their lives, they were not worried that Tan Xiu would kill them since he had paid such a high price to buy them. They were afraid that he would only make them serve him. Tan Xiu refined their soul tablets and completely controlled their lives. Then, he lightly said, my orders are more important than anything else in the future. Of course, I don't mind making an example out of you. If any of you want to try, feel free to go against my will. Kill the chicken to warn the monkey. The expressions of the 6 perfected golden immortal gladiators suddenly changed. The unruly faces changed slightly. None of them wanted to die, nor did they want to become the chicken that was killed. Old Sycamore, let's go. Tan Xiu nodded at the beautiful woman and turned to leave. Old Sycamore didn't say anything. He didn't even greet the beautiful woman as he followed Tan Xiu outside. When they arrived at the gate, he asked, Great Tang Heavenly Emperor, where are we going next? Tan Xiu's lips moved a few times before Battle Peng handed Tan Xiu 10 immortal crystals. After Tan Xiu received them, he personally handed them to Old Sycamore and said, this is your reward. I hope we'll meet again in the future. Finished. He led the group into the distance. 10 immortal crystals. Old Sycamore stared blankly at the 10 immortal crystals in his hand. Memories that had been sealed away in the depths of his heart gushed out like a flood. Several thousand years ago. When he was only a child of 8 or 9 years old, he and his younger brother begged on the streets every day, hoping to get some charity and some leftovers to fill their stomachs. They were driven away, beaten, and abused like livestock. Even slave traders were unwilling to capture pitiful ant-like worms like them. However, on a certain day in a certain month of a certain year, the brothers stole 2 bright clothes, but they were discovered by the owner of the clothes and were almost beaten to death. At that moment, he vowed to stay alive and kill the person who beat him up. He wanted to kill the person who had abused them. At that time, he had even made up his mind to find a way to get a sum of money to buy a cultivation technique and become a powerful cultivator. It was also at that moment that a stalwart figure shielded them from the sun. It was his younger brother. He knelt behind the stalwart figure who had saved them and shouted the slogan, Apprentice. In his opinion, it was something he didn't even dare to dream of. In the end, that person stopped and only asked his younger brother a few questions before agreeing to accept him as a disciple. He even wanted to take him and his younger brother away. How long will we be gone? He had once asked this question, and the answer he got was either 1,000 years or an eternity. He didn't leave. He couldn't wait for 1,000 years, and he didn't want to regret it forever. In the end, his younger brother was taken away by that stalwart figure, but he stayed behind. Old Sycamore still clearly remembered that before his younger brother was taken away, that stalwart figure handed him 10 immortal crystals and said something that he would never forget for the rest of his life. This is a reward for you. I hope we'll meet again in the future. Scenes of the past happened one after another. Dripping with blood, old Sycamore's heart unraveled. That once incomparably stalwart figure now seemed so familiar and so real. Are you him? Old Sycamore took a few steps forward, his face full of excitement as he shouted loudly. However, after he shouted these words, a disappointment that came from the depths of his soul occupied his entire heart, making him feel as if he had fallen into an ice cave. He knew that he had lost his composure because he was already dead, just like his younger brother. 1,000 meters away. Tan Xiu's footsteps suddenly stopped. He slowly turned around and looked at the pale-faced old Sycamore. His lips squirmed a few times, but no words came out of his mouth in the end. Only a voice transmission lingered in old Sycamore's ears. I'm sorry. With that said, Tan Xiu suddenly sped up with everyone and disappeared from old Sycamore's sight. I'm sorry. Old Sycamore's pupils abruptly shrank, his eyes bursting with disbelief. His figure instantly turned hazy and disappeared into thin air under the gazes of countless people. Hundreds of thousands of kilometers away. Old Sycamore had already appeared on top of a mountain peak. Looking at the empty scene around him, his heart fiercely trembled and madly palpitated. As the saying goes, old people become shrewd. He had lived for several thousand years and was already extremely wise and farsighted. It was just a single sentence of apology, just 3 words, but it shocked him to the point where it was difficult for him to recover. His younger brother was dead. Even though he crazily slaughtered and killed all his enemies. But in this world, he owed one person a sentence, and that was those 3 words. In this world. Only he would say those 3 words to him. Old Sycamore clenched his fists tightly, a crazed look flashing in his eyes as he fiercely roared, I'll find you. I know you're still alive. This old Sycamore originally thought that I had no more worries in this life, but now I know that I still have you. That's right. Even though he didn't leave with Tan Xiu back then, just like his younger brother, he still regarded that imposing figure as a true family member. He was good to his younger brother, which was also good to him. What's more, it was because of those 10 immortal crystals that he was able to buy cultivation manuals, even the most ordinary ones. It was also because of those 10 immortal crystals that he was able to buy medicinal pills, even the lowest grade ones. However, he became stronger and killed all the enemies who had bullied him and his brother. Thousands of years ago. He was able to become an immortal because his younger brother sent him miraculous pills, which eventually allowed him to ascend. Thousands of years ago. He was able to become an earth immortal because his younger brother sent him cultivation resources, which allowed him to successfully break through. Thousands of years ago. It was also his younger brother who sent him immortal elixir and immortal dew, which allowed him to break through to the celestial immortal realm. Thousands of years ago. It was also his younger brother who sent him a large number of miraculous pills, immortal crystals, and crystal essences, which allowed him to continuously improve his cultivation level, allowing him to break through to the profound immortal realm and then the golden immortal realm. And now, he was already a perfected golden immortal. Even though there were no more than 3 people in the entire immortal world who knew that he had broken through to the perfected golden immortal realm, he had already become a true powerhouse in the eyes of millions of people. Over the past several hundred years, he disappeared and reappeared again and again. And every time he disappeared, it was when the Rosefinch Holy Sect was besieged by powerful enemies. Every time he disappeared, he would return covered in wounds. No one knew. He was repaying a debt of gratitude. Repaying a debt of gratitude on his own behalf, and also on behalf of his younger brother. Old Sycamore's complexion suddenly changed as he keenly sensed a few extremely weak fluctuations in the air. A cold glint immediately burst out from his eyes, and a pitch-black gourd appeared in his hand. A berserk aura immediately rushed in the direction of those weak fluctuations. Come out. At the same time, a pitch-black flood crazily rushed out of the black gourd like a surging black river in the void, instantly submerging the weak fluctuations. Have mercy, we're on the same side. 3 figures dressed in black robes appeared out of thin air. They looked at the black flood in horror and screamed at the top of their lungs. The convict arena's wind listener. It seems you're here to investigate his identity. A cold glint flickered in old Sycamore's eyes. He instantly slashed out with his 7th-grade immortal sword. After the 3 people fell into the black flood, they were directly cut into pieces by the immortal sword, and even their immortal souls were directly obliterated. Immediately after, old Sycamore put away the black gourd and completely erased the traces here before his figure disappeared into thin air. Half a month later, Tan Shou returned to Agaric Castle with Battle Peng, Star Tears, Dragonfly, and the 6 perfected golden immortals he had just purchased. The current Tan Shou was penniless and poor to the point that he couldn't even take out a single immortal stone. Whoosh, he sent out a message token. In just half an hour, the old man who sold the information to Tan Shou appeared in front of Tan Shou. Did you get the soul pursuit token, senior? The old man looked excited as he looked at Tan Shou and hurriedly asked. Tan Shou slowly shook his head and said, I haven't gone to the vast martial sect yet. I went to find some people to help me in order to prevent any mishaps. Let's go. Even if the vast martial sect has a perfected golden immortal ancestor, they won't be able to protect the soul pursuit token this time. You can take us to the vast martial sect. The old man looked aghast and hurriedly said, Senior, even if you have a helper and a perfected golden immortal by your side, it's still impossible for you to get the soul pursuit token directly. If the other party goes crazy and contacts Battle Soul Supreme through the soul pursuit token, we'll all die. Don't worry. Tan Shou sneered. I won't take the risk if I'm not fully prepared. As long as your information is correct, I'll definitely get the soul pursuit token. It's a new month, please support me with the monthly tickets. Also, in response to the strong request of our brothers and sisters, Silent Night has changed the portrait of Andy on the public account. The new portrait is guaranteed to make our brothers and sisters' blood boil. If you want to see it first, please follow the WeChat public account JYJS00 or directly search for Silent Night Thoughts in the subscription account. Chapter 1304. The old man looked at the 6 unfamiliar faces. He had a vague feeling that these 6 people were probably very strong. At the very least, they were all golden immortal experts. Furthermore, this mysterious man had been preparing for so long before taking action against the vast martial sect. Perhaps, he was really well prepared. I'll go. The old man gritted his teeth and said in a deep voice. Tan Shou nodded. Under the old man's lead, it took them 2 days to arrive at a small continent in this immortal domain. While looking at the pavilions in the dense mountain forest, Tan Shou asked, Is this where the vast martial sect is located? That's right. It's here, answered the old man. While speaking, killing intent surged in his eyes. It was obvious that he was full of hatred toward the vast martial sect. Tan Shou turned to look at Battle Peng and lightly said, You and Dragonfly stay here. I don't need to teach you what to do if something unexpected happens, right? Battle Peng glanced at the old man and nodded. Don't worry. I know what to do. Tan Shou nodded slightly in response. His eyes then shifted to the 6 perfected golden immortals and indifferently said, I'll give you some hope before you work for me. Serve me for 5,000 years and I'll give you your freedom as long as you're still alive. I'll welcome you to continue to follow me at that time, but you can leave directly if you don't want to. Further, I'll provide you with all kinds of cultivation resources and impart all kinds of divine abilities and secret arts to you during the 5,000 years you serve me. The greater your contribution, the more rewards you'll get. Do you understand? Really? The 6 of them looked pleasantly surprised and asked in unison. I, Great Tang Heavenly Emperor, will never fulfill my promise. Tan Shou nodded. The 6 of them quickly exchanged glances and immediately nodded. They knelt on one knee and said in a deep voice, We're willing to serve you. Tan Xiu took out 6 shaman artifacts and threw them to them. I don't have any high-grade immortal artifacts to provide you for the time being. Refine these shaman artifacts and use them as your weapons for the time being. Sablefiend Scorpio took one of the shaman artifacts and carefully observed it. Then, she exclaimed in horror, "This is a shaman artifact of the Diablo Precantator clan? Oh my god. At the very least, it was a high-grade wizard artifact used by the Diablo Precantator clan's warrior. This shaman artifact is definitely comparable to a grade 7 immortal artifact." The other 5 people also revealed shocked expressions. All of them were perfected golden immortals, old monsters who had lived for thousands of years, especially Sablefiend Scorpio who had lived for tens of thousands of years. She could naturally identify the value of these shaman weapons. Tan Xiu said carelessly, "I have a lot of magic tools of this level. In fact, there were many sorcerer tools that were even better than these. As long as you are loyal to me wholeheartedly, not only will you become stronger in the future, but you will also possess countless resources." Sablefiend Scorpio's group of 6 exchanged glances and said one after another, "We pledge our allegiance to him." Tan Xiu nodded with satisfaction and turned to look at Star Tears, who had a strange expression on her face. Then, he calmly said, "What you need to do this time is to help me seize the Soul Pursuit token from the vast martial sect. I'm sure you all know what the Soul Pursuit token is. I also need Battle Soul Supreme to help me with this matter in the future. Therefore, you must directly suppress this perfected golden immortal ancestor of the vast martial sect with thunderous momentum. You must not give him the time and opportunity to use the Soul Pursuit token." "Understood." Everyone replied in a deep voice. A quarter of an hour later, Tan Xiu looked around. Just as he was about to take out the message token, 3 streaks of light quickly came from the distance and quickly appeared in front of Tan Xiu. Tangan, who was shrouded in a black robe, arrived with Zenith Venerable and Seaway Monarch. Then, she respectfully reported, "We've destroyed all the arrays around the vast martial sect, Grand Master. They won't be able to activate the sect's protective array even if they notice a powerful enemy coming to attack them." Tan Xiu nodded with satisfaction and sneered. 9 perfected golden immortals. If you can't get the vast martial sect's Soul Pursuit token, I'm afraid it'll be the shame of your lives. Let's do it. Understood. The 9 people nodded one after another. Immediately after, their figures moved as fast as meteors and appeared above the vast martial sect in a flash. Immediately after, the 9 of them attacked at the same time and directly knocked out all the vast martial sect's disciples below the golden immortal stage. Even the vast martial sect's golden immortals coughed up blood and looked fearful. "Which thief dares to provoke my vast martial sect?" 3 figures soared into the sky and instantly appeared in midair. The one in the lead was a white-haired old man in a plain robe. His eyes gleamed with crazy killing intent. However, when he saw the 9 perfected golden immortals around him and sensed the terrifying pressure emanating from them, his pupils suddenly shrunk and a horrified look burst out from his eyes. "Suppress them." Tan Xiu and Tangan suddenly appeared 10,000 meters away and shouted coldly. In a flash, 9 perfected golden immortals fiercely attacked one after another. Apart from the perfected golden immortal old man, the other 2 late-stage golden immortals, who were only a step away from breaking through to the perfected golden immortal stage, spurted out blood and were bombarded to the ground by Star Tears and Sablefiend Scorpio. Although they didn't die, they still fainted. "Who the hell are you? What kind of grudge do you have with my vast martial sect that you even sent 9 perfected golden immortals to destroy my sect?" The white-haired old man desperately resisted, but he was still seriously injured in an instant. "Give up resistance and I can spare the lives of all the people in your vast martial sect," Tan Xiu said coldly. "Else, I'll exterminate all of you without sparing even the fowls and dogs." The white-haired old man roared angrily, but he still chose to give up resisting the onslaught of the 9 perfected golden immortals. As he was directly imprisoned by Star Tears, Tan Xiu floated in front of him and observed him for a while. He then grabbed his collar and quickly entered the tallest building below. "This is your vast martial sect's hall of worship, isn't it? A smile appeared on the corner of Tan Xiu's mouth as he lightly asked. The white-haired old man's face was ashen as he nodded. That's right. Knock out all the golden immortals hiding in the dark, Tan Xiu said with a smile. Immediately, 4 figures disappeared into thin air. Dozens of muffled groans were heard and the 4 quickly appeared near Tan Xiu out of thin air. Tan Xiu then looked at the old man and smilingly said, "You have treasures, but you don't have the strength to preserve them. It's easy to attract disaster. Am I right?" "That's right." The vast martial sect's ancestor replied in a muffled voice. Tan Xiu lightly smiled and said, "Since you think what I said makes sense, then take out the soul pursuit token your vast martial sect got. Don't ask me how I know that the soul pursuit token is in your sect. I have my own intelligence channels." The vast martial sect's old man let out a bitter smile and directly took out a black token from his interspatial ring. He handed it to Tan Xiu and bitterly said, "This is the soul pursuit token." Tan Xiu took it in his hand and played with it for a while. Then, he lightly smiled and said, "That's right. This is indeed the soul pursuit token. I got 2 of them before, but I didn't expect to get the 3rd one. You're good. I can spare the lives of all the disciples of your vast martial sect since you handed over the soul pursuit token. But you should know what to say and what not to say after we leave, right?" "I know," said the vast martial sect's old ancestor bitterly. Tan Xiu nodded with satisfaction and said, "Since you know, then I'll cut to the chase. From now on, I owe your vast martial sect a favor, so I'll leave you a communication talisman. In the future, if your vast martial sect encounters a life and death crisis, you can use this communication talisman to notify me, and I'll naturally send someone to rescue you." The vast martial sect's old ancestor stared blankly and incredulously said, "You mean, I hate taking advantage of others for no reason?" Tan Xiu lightly said, "My means may not be honorable this time, but I have to do it for some things. I'll cut off a chance for Battle Soul Supreme to attack you, so I'll leave you a favor. Don't worry. I can help you kill even if the person you're going to deal with is a supremacy stage expert in the future." Having said that, Tan Xiu nodded to Star Tears. Star Tears undid the seal on the vast martial sect's old ancestor and indifferently said, "My heavenly emperor will fulfill his promise. Do you want the vast martial sect to be annihilated and face endless pursuit, or choose to remain silent and use this favor in the future? The choice is yours." Tan Xiu took out a healing elixir and gave it to the vast martial sect's old ancestor before he immediately left with the others. "Just like that, they're leaving just like that?" A look of disbelief appeared on the vast martial sect's old ancestor's face. He originally thought that he would die today, but never did he expect that the other party would only ask for the soul pursuit token and didn't even kill anyone. After a long time, he muttered to himself, "Who the hell are they?" Tan Xiu didn't immediately contact Battle Soul Supreme after getting the soul pursuit token. He had met Supreme Battle Soul several times in the past. He had even fought alongside Supreme Battle Soul in the Endless Abyss and killed many extraterritorial demons. But speaking of friendship, their friendship wasn't deep and could only be regarded as friendly as ordinary friends at best. Battle Soul Supreme. When he was at his peak, he was only slightly weaker than him. Therefore, Tan Xiu decided not to use the soul pursuit token unless it was absolutely necessary. It would be best to ask Battle Soul Supreme to act during the final decisive battle. "Are we going back now, Grand Master?" Tang An hurriedly asked after seeing Tan Xiu and the others return. "Let's go back. There are some things we need to do." Tan Xiu nodded. Tang An didn't know what Tan Xiu was talking about, but she still nodded. She had received a message token from Tan Xiu, asking her to bring Seaway Monarch and Zenith Venerable here. The Misty Spring Ocean was the headquarters of the Great Tang Empire, and only Apotheon Mu and his master, Gu Yan, were there. "You're the guardian elders of the Great Tang Empire from now on." Before returning, Tan Xiu solemnly announced to the 6 perfected golden immortals. Chapter 1305. Tan Xiu hurried back to the Misty Spring Ocean and immediately chose to go into seclusion. He did not go all out to cultivate, but used the 5-colored poisonous mushroom to refine poisonous pills. For a whole month. When Tan Xiu walked out of the meditation cliff with the 10,000 poison pills, he saw Gu Xiaoxua sitting on the edge of the cliff with a haggard face, playing with 2 immortal crystals in her hand. Xiao Shui. Tan Xiu walked over and asked with a smile, "You seem to have something on your mind?" Gu Xiaoxua floated up and grabbed Tan Xiu's arm intimately. She smiled bitterly and said, "Grand Master, we have no money. We are so poor. In 2 months at most, I'm afraid we won't even be able to pay the military expenses." Tan Xiu was stunned and asked with a puzzled expression, "Didn't I leave you a lot of immortal crystals and crystal essences? How did you use it so quickly?" Gu Xiaoxua smiled bitterly and said, "Most of the immortal crystals and crystal essences were used to buy cultivation resources, and the 400,000 soldiers were also consumed quickly. I also gave those perfected golden immortals 1 million immortal crystals each. Now we only have 6 million immortal crystals and a few 100,000 crystal essences left." Tan Xiu frowned slightly. He recalled that before he returned from the Mushroom Castle, he had paid the old man 500,000 crystal essences. Then, he had sent people to the Mushroom Castle to pay the remaining 7 million crystal essences and brought back the rainbow toadstool. Again and again. He spent money like water. In addition, Tan Xiu also clearly remembered one thing. When Apotheon Mu came back from the Immortal Lyceum, he once told him that Apotheosis Bella had given him all the immortal crystals and crystal essences of the Immortal Lyceum, causing the Immortal Lyceum's financial situation to be very tight. Tan Xiu didn't intend to go to the convict arena again because it hadn't been long since he returned to the immortal dimension, yet he'd truly appeared in the convict arena too many times. No matter if it was to purchase deathmatch gladiators or carry out grand bets, it would probably draw the attention of the higher-ups of the convict arena. Previously, when he was in another immortal domain, after he left the convict arena, he immediately went far away. By the time the other party carried out a secret investigation, he would have already disappeared without a trace. Right now, if he were to go to the convict arena to gamble, it would be very easy for the other party to notice. Back to my old profession. Tan Xiu's eyes flickered. As he sent out a message talisman, it didn't take long for Apotheon Mu to arrive. Tan Xiu didn't wait for him to speak and asked straightforwardly, "Is there anyone in the starfield near the Misty Spring Ocean who is rich but not a good person?" Apotheon Mu thought for a while and said, "I think so. I remember there's a place called Myriad Demon's Nest thousands of kilometers away from the Misty Spring Ocean. The master of the Myriad Devil Nest was the barefooted old devil, a crazy old devil who was cruel and merciless, committing all kinds of crimes. He had even recruited a group of vicious and merciless experts to wreak havoc in that star domain. Many natives had no choice but to flee. Those who couldn't escape were enslaved over there." Tan Xiu asked, "You didn't do anything before?" Apotheon Mu forced a smile and said, "To be honest, I'm not that barefooted old demon's opponent. As a perfected golden immortal, he was very strong, and he had 2 perfected golden immortals under him. He also had dozens of golden immortals. I've been there before, but I was injured and had no choice but to retreat." Tan Xiu narrowed his eyes and sneered. "Since he's a devil, I don't have any psychological burden robbing him. Notify everyone that except for Seaway Monarch and Zenith Venerable, you will lead the others to get rid of those devils and bring back their wealth." Apotheon Mu was surprised. "Are you really going to lead people to slaughter that place, Master?" Tan Xiu nodded and said, "We're short on money now. We're severely short on money. Since Myriad Demon's Nest is a sinful place, then we'll kill those devils and take their wealth. In this way, we'll indirectly help the weak to survive." Apotheon Mu smiled. He had followed Tan Xiu for thousands of years, so he naturally knew his master Tan Xiu's nature. Every time they needed a lot of money, his master, Tan Xiu, would use the slogan of helping the weak to slaughter some evil devils and obtain a lot of wealth. "I'll go right away." Apotheon Mu replied and quickly left. 10 days later. When Apotheon Mu and the others returned, they brought back a lot of wealth. The number of crystal essences alone was more than 20 million. The number of immortal crystals was more than 400 million. Tan Xiu took out a part of the immortal crystals and crystal essences to reward Apotheon Mu and the others who participated in the operation, and gave the remaining half to Gu Xiaoxue. The sky was clear for thousands of miles. Tan Xiu sat cross-legged on the repose cliff. His eyes seemed to be able to penetrate the endless void and see the scene of countless stars trembling in the distant universe. The planets inside his body roared at the same time. The life force from the Heavenly Path universe tree was continuously injected into the planets, causing them to gradually show signs of life. Boom! He had finally broken through the third stage of the heavenly art of cosmic genesis, the soul-smelting stage. This is the feeling of power. Tan Xiu floated up and allowed the endless immortal force from all directions to pour into his body. Then, he absorbed and refined it and integrated it into his Dantian space. Before breaking through, although it was difficult for Tan Xiu to kill powerful golden immortals, he could still compete with ordinary golden immortals. But after this breakthrough, his strength had improved by leaps and bounds. Although he still couldn't fight a perfected golden immortal head-on, he could still kill some weaker perfected golden immortals by surprise if he used some Dharma spells and divine abilities. As for golden immortals, Tan Xiu was now confident that he could crush them in all aspects. Tan Xiu stood in the air with his white robe fluttering. After a dozen message sigils were sent out, 12 figures appeared in front of Tan Xiu in just 2 hours. There were a total of 10 perfected golden immortals of the Great Tang Empire, plus Gu Yan, and Battle Peng. All of them wore respectful expressions and waited for Tan Xiu to speak. It's almost time. Tan Xiu took out a message sigil from his interspatial ring, took a deep breath, and said, Yan, and Battle Peng will stay in the misty spring ocean to ensure the safety of the Great Tang Empire. If a powerful enemy appears while we're away, immediately order the Great Tang Empire's soldiers to evacuate and defend the repose cliff. Gu Yan, was somewhat unwilling, but her cultivation had yet to fully recover. She was still at the golden immortal stage, so she could only endure it and nodded. I understand. Tan Xiu nodded and said, we'll be back here in half a year if we're fast, and 10 years if we're slow. The Great Tang Empire doesn't need to expand for the time being. We just need to recruit soldiers and train them in secret. I need an army with at least hundreds of millions of soldiers. Therefore, we still have a long way to go. Don't worry, Master. Gu Yan said in a deep voice. Tan Xiu smiled slightly and immediately looked at the 10 perfected golden immortals. He then said in a deep voice, this trip to the Heavenly Mountain is definitely a perilous one. Let me ask you something. Who dares not go? If you tell me now, I'll allow you to stay here and guard the Great Tang Empire. The 10 people looked at each other in dismay, but no one stood up. Very good, Tan Xiu said with satisfaction. You're truly worthy of being chosen by Great Tang Heavenly Emperor. All of you will follow me to the Heavenly Mountain this time to rescue the 4 disciples of the Rosefinch Holy Sect. If you're still alive after rescuing them, I'll give each of you a precious treasure as a reward. Siwei Monarch's expression shifted and he asked, can you tell us what kind of precious treasure you're going to give us, Master? A long spear appeared in Tan Xiu's hand out of thin air and he said in a deep voice, it's a Magus artifact that's at least comparable to an 8th grade immortal artifact. You should be well aware that the divine weapon of the Diablo Precantator clan is definitely a treasure for fighting and conquering. Once you get it, your combat prowess will skyrocket. Siwei Monarch looked pleasantly surprised and loudly asked, why don't you give us a Magus artifact now since we're about to fight a powerful enemy, Master? Having a weapon comparable to an 8th grade immortal artifact will be like adding wings to a tiger for us, and we'll be able to kill more enemies. It'll take a long time to completely refine a high-grade Magus artifact, Tan Xiu said lightly. You won't be able to unleash much of its power when we're in the sky. It's better to continue using your current weapons. Understood. Siwei Monarch and the others understood that Tan Xiu was telling the truth, so they no longer said anything. Tan Xiu shook his right wrist and lightly said, Star Tears, follow me. Everyone else, enter the Heavenly Abode artifact. This is a very important matter for us. Killing the enemies and saving them is one thing, but we can't expose our identities on the other hand. We need to change our appearance and hide our identities when we act. Quickly. After the 9 perfected golden immortals entered the heavenly abode artifact, Tenshio looked at Star Tears and lightly said, "You can ask what you want to ask now." "Apotheon Mu is a disciple of my Rosefinch holy sect, but he calls you master," said Star Tears slowly. "I really want to know when he was accepted as a disciple by you other than my nephew. Also, I want to know why you took such a huge risk to save the disciples of my Rosefinch holy sect." "Apotheon Mu was my disciple a long time ago," said Tenshio indifferently. "You should be well aware that there are too many people in the immortal world who have many masters at the same time. As for why I saved the disciples of your Rosefinch holy sect, it's because of an exchange with Apotheon Mu. I helped him save them, and he gave you the Misty Spring Ocean to become the Great Tang Empire's base camp." "No, that's not right." Star Tears shook her head. "Apotheon Mu's respect for you is very similar to his respect for another person." "Star Cultivation Great Emperor?" asked Tenshio with a faint smile. Star Tears took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "That's right. He's Star Cultivation Great Emperor, my nephew." Tenshio thought for a while and said, "If our trip goes smoothly and we can rescue Apotheon Myriad Notes, Soaring Plum, 9 Immortal Fingers, and Enchantress You, and we're still alive, I'll give you an explanation. It's a deal." Star Tears shot a deep look at Tenshio and said in a deep voice, "Aside from us, I've also invited some external help to save the people in the Heavenly Mountain," said Tenshio with a faint smile. "Apotheosis Bella, who has already broken through to the supremacy stage, will also rush there with her people to join us. The return from the immortal world was originally scheduled for last month's grand finale, but it was postponed to the end of this month due to several unfinished plots. Brothers and sisters, please inform each other. Also, the WeChat official account is continuing to release a series of stunning beauties. Today, it's about the pair of beautiful sisters, Zhang Xinyue and Zhang Xinya. Brothers and sisters, you can quickly go and have a look. Quiet Night's WeChat official account is JYJS00, or you can directly search for Quiet Night's thoughts in the subscription account. Chapter 1306. There were 13 immortal domains between the Misty Spring Ocean and the Heavenly Mountain Immortal Domain. Star Tears and Tenshio traveled at full speed, but it took them nearly 3 months to reach the Heavenly Mountain Immortal Domain. The Heavenly Mountain Immortal Domain was located in a desolate place in the immortal world. Except for the 2 cities, Sunset City and Star Moon City, there were no other living beings living here. In the vast Milky Way, there were meteorites floating everywhere. Meteorites often collided with planets and exploded. Heavenly Mountain Immortal Domain. It was enveloped by the mysterious laws of heaven and earth, so it could survive in such a desolate and dangerous place. These 2 continents were where Setting Sun City and Star Moon City were located. Here, there was no lord of the immortal domain. It belonged to the chaotic zone. In order to collect resources from the other immortal domains near the Heavenly Mountain Immortal Domain, many forces had secretly established their forces here. It was complicated and chaotic. Sunset City. In the west, there was a towering mountain that soared into the sky. It was majestic and abnormally steep. Circles of light enveloped the entire mountain, forming a special gravitational space. Here, even a perfected golden immortal could only unleash the strength of an immortal at the Sword Immortal realm. That kind of strong suppression made countless immortals unwilling to come here easily. But now, 16 thick chains made of 10,000-year-old dark steel were chained to 1 person each, trapping 3 men and 1 woman on the cliff halfway up the mountain. A 9 thunder formation enveloped the 4 of them. Every day, 9 bolts of lightning would strike the 4 chained people on the cliff. Dao Lord Green Firmament sat cross-legged on a floating futon, drinking the immortal wine in the purple gold gourd in his hand and looking at the 4 chained people with a faint smile. Tens of thousands of miles away from him, 3 black-robed triplets with long hair were besieged by dozens of his golden immortal subordinates. "Stop playing around. Just kill them." Tao Lord Green Firmament burped comfortably. As 2 clouds of alcohol smell came out of his nostrils, he snorted disinterestedly. Immediately, tens of golden immortals tens of thousands of miles away took out their natal immortal weapons and bombarded the triplets. The 3 triplets were all golden immortals. Being bombarded by dozens of powerful enemies, one of them looked desperate and unwillingly roared, "Master, this disciple is incompetent. I can't save you and the other martial uncles. If there is an afterlife, we 3 brothers will be your disciples again." The next moment, the 3 of them revealed determined expressions and self-detonated one after another. The tremendous power of self-detonation exploded among the dozens of gold immortals, sending them flying backward with blood spraying out of their mouths. 4 of them, who were very close to the triplets, were killed by the explosion. Teng Yun, Teng Xiang, Teng Lu. A pained expression appeared on Charm Yu's beautiful face as 2 streams of tears rolled down her cheeks. Although she struggled with all her might, she could not break free from the restraints of the 4 chains. A furious look appeared on Tao Lord Green Firmament's face as he cursed, "What a bunch of fools. You've experienced so many ambushes, yet you still haven't learned your lesson. The self-detonation of those damned bastards isn't something you can avoid with your numbers." After cursing, he turned to look at Apotheon Enchantress Yu, whose face had become a bit distorted. A faint smile appeared on his handsome face again as he said, "Fine. Let them die. We caught these ants hundreds of years ago anyway, so it's not a big deal even if they die. But you, Apotheon Enchantress Yu, you raised your 3 disciples and spared no effort to teach them, making them stronger and stronger. But now you're dead. I really feel sorry for you. Ha ha ha." Apotheon Enchantress Yu glared at Tao Lord Green Firmament and angrily roared, "Green Firmament, I crippled you back then. If it wasn't for your damned master who used a lot of treasures to save you, I'm afraid your corpse would have been used to feed immortal beasts, no?" Tao Lord Green Firmament's face stiffened and a bit of killing intent immediately appeared on his face. He then fiercely said, "Bitch, if it wasn't for master who forbade me to kill you, I would have pulled out your tendons, skinned you, and refined you into a slave puppet. Just you wait. I'll use you thoroughly and slaughter all those who want to rescue you. Then I'll personally refine you into a slave puppet and make you suffer the most cruel torture in the endless years to come." Apotheon Enchantress Yu clenched her fists tightly. If her eyes could kill, she would have killed Tao Lord Green Firmament countless times already. Tao Lord Green Firmament proudly snorted twice and immediately threw the purple gold gourd into his interspatial ring. He then clapped his hands and 2 golden immortals appeared. He then said with a smile, "Tell them that I'm going to Sunset City to rest. I'll leave this place to them. Don't look for me unless a powerful enemy comes." "Understood," replied the 2 golden immortals respectfully. Tao Lord Green Firmament looked at Apotheon Enchantress Yu again and grinned. "I'll definitely collect enough auxiliary materials to refine a slave puppet in Sunset City." Having said that, he laughed aloud and flew towards Sunset City. Apotheon Myriad Notes maintained a tranquil expression all along. His deep eyes fell on Apotheon Enchantress Yu, who was 10,000 meters away, and lightly said, "Junior sister Enchantress Yu, since ancient times, evil has never triumphed over good. The Rosefinch holy sect has existed in the immortal world for hundreds of thousands of years, and we can't speculate how deep its heritage is. I firmly believe that the sect's powerhouses will come to rescue us. Once we're free, it'll be the day we slaughter these enemies." Apotheon Enchantress Yu shook her head in pain and didn't speak again. She was already on the verge of despair. It was because in just 100 years, at least 1,000 people had died here because of the 4 of them acting as bait. And more than half of those people were people they cared about very much. If this situation continued, perhaps it wouldn't take another 100 years for their loved ones to die. Sunset City. Tan Xiao was sitting quietly in a tea house, watching the endless flow of people on the street outside the window. His aura was completely converged, making him look like an ordinary person enjoying the fragrance of fragrant tea. Star Tears, on the other hand, was sitting opposite him, staring blankly at the cup of tea in front of her without moving for a long time. Whoosh, a figure suddenly appeared next to Tan Xiu out of thin air. Seaway Monarch said with a voice transmission, "Master, I've just investigated that the one on the heavenly mountain is Myriad Thunder Supreme, Zither Demon Juliao's martial uncle. Also, it said that there are 12 perfected golden immortals guarding the place, but there are actually only 6. There should be 30 to 40 golden immortals. Also, I just got some good news." Tan Xiu's expression shifted and he asked, "What good news?" Seaway Monarch replied with a voice transmission, "Myriad Thunder Supreme's disciple, Tao Lord Green Firmament, came to Sunset City 2 days ago and has been staying in the Golden Fragrance House, fooling around with the immortal prostitutes there." Tao Lord Green Firmament? A cold light burst out from Tan Xiu's eyes. He had seen Tao Lord Green Firmament before. But at that time, Tao Lord Green Firmament was just a nobody who followed his master, Myriad Thunder Supreme, to his mansion as a guest. He didn't expect that the ant in his eyes had now become a bastard who persecuted his disciple. Get rid of him. Tan Xiu clenched his fists and sent a voice transmission while thinking. After a long while, a strange expression appeared on Seaway Monarch's face. After listening to Tan Xiu's plan, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth and he nodded. "I need Zenith Venerable to help me." Tan Xiu nodded and called Zenith Venerable and Sable Fiend Scorpio out of the Heavenly Abode artifact. Then, he said, "You two will obey Seaway Monarch's order for the time being and help me get rid of Tao Lord Green Firmament. I won't give you much time. How about half a month?" "No problem," Seaway Monarch said with a slight smile. Tan Xiu waved his hand and said, "Go. I'll wait for you at the Stargazing River." Subsequently, Tan Xiu left with Star Tears and headed straight for the Stargazing River in the eastern suburbs of Sunset City. When they arrived, Tan Xiu observed the surrounding environment and then began to carve array patterns, bury the immortal crystals, and set up the 9 consecutive bends array. Afterward, he sat cross-legged with Star Tears and waited quietly. Golden Fragrance Restaurant. Tao Lord Green Firmament was surrounded by a group of immortal prostitutes, enjoying the service of a group of immortal prostitutes. No one noticed that the faintly discernible cold aura was constantly flowing from the group of immortal prostitutes and being quietly absorbed by Tao Lord Green Firmament. It was the Great Een Demon art. It was a very evil and terrifying cultivation art created by a certain fiend in the immortal world. It could stealthily steal the Een essence of the women around him and then refine and absorb it to increase his own cultivation. Tao Lord Green Firmament appeared to be a righteous immortal on the surface, but he secretly cultivated the Great Een Demon art, a cultivation art that harmed others to benefit himself. The number of women he had persecuted were countless. Bam! An explosive sound was transmitted to Tao Lord Green Firmament's ears. His cold and gloomy eyes instantly shifted to the source of the sound. He immediately saw the brothel keeper being slapped and sent flying by a burly man in the hall of the pavilion that was filled with a pink aura. The beautiful woman next to the burly man, who looked like a little bird, kicked the brothel keeper's chest and nearly killed her. What a vulgar woman. You're all vulgar women here. Those who are interested in the women here are all blind idiots. Sable Fiend Scorpio, who had transformed into a beautiful woman, glanced around contemptuously. Looking at the angry eyes cast at her, she disdainfully said again, "My man is a super powerhouse at the perfected golden immortal stage. He's invincible in the immortal world. If you don't have more beautiful immortal prostitutes here, I'll burn this place down." What an arrogant young lady. A gloomy voice came from one of the private rooms as a lean man floated out. His eyes greedily glanced at Sable Fiend Scorpio's sensitive spots and grinned. Seaway Monarch raised his brows and indifferently glanced at the man before fiercely slapping him. The Golden Immortal stage expert was directly sent flying by Seaway Monarch's slap. Immediately after, he looked disappointed and shook his head. "Let's go. The women here are too lousy. You might as well go to the casino with me and gamble." Sable Fiend Scorpio giggled and said, "You got so many treasures from the Demon Dragon Cave some time ago, sir. You even got countless crystal essences. Do you still need to gamble? It's really boring to win money from those poor people." Chapter 1307. Demonic Dragon Cave. Everyone in the immortal world knew that it was a treasure trove. Despite knowing that it was fraught with danger, countless experts still rushed forward, risking their lives to search for treasures. According to statistics, there were a total of 72 devil dragon caves in the celestial world. One of them even had a primordial celestial artifact that was a grade higher than a grade 9 celestial artifact. In an instant, all the guests in the Golden Fragrance Pavilion looked at Seaway Monarch with fiery eyes. Among them, the immortal prostitute's eyes were even more fiery, as if they were about to melt Seaway Monarch. Tao Lord Green Firmament pushed away the immortal prostitute in his arms. As his eyes flickered, different thoughts surged in his heart. Looking at Seaway Monarch and Sable Fiend Scorpio's departing backs, he took out 100 immortal crystals from his interspatial ring and threw them around like throwing garbage. He ignored the immortal prostitutes who were fighting for the immortal crystals and followed them. The moment he stepped out of the Golden Fragrance Pavilion, a message amulet was sent out. 10,000 meters away. Zenith Venerable quietly leaned against the door of a shop and watched Seaway Monarch and Sable Fiend Scorpio leave. Then, he saw Tao Lord Green Firmament coming out from the inside and sending out a message token. A sneer appeared on the corner of Zenith Venerable's mouth. Eastern suburbs of Sunset City, Stargazer River. Tan Xiao, who was sitting cross-legged on the riverside, sneered after receiving Zenith Venerable's message token. I originally planned to kill Tao Lord Green Firmament, but I didn't expect him to summon his companions. I hope he can call a few more people, otherwise it will take more effort to save them. Tao Lord Green Firmament is very weak, said Star Tears calmly. He's a bit weaker than me. Getting rid of him is easy, but getting rid of more enemies is something I look forward to even more. Tan Xiao pointed to the full moon celestial river ahead and smilingly said, if the number of perfected golden immortals on the other side is more than 3, the 9-chain Benz array I've personally arranged can only give them some trouble at most and won't be able to trap them all the time. But if there are only 3 or 2 of them, then they will not be able to return. The 9-chains Benz array is an offensive array, but it seems to have become a trapping array in your words, no? Asked Star Tears. Tan Xiao smiled and said, the formations in the world are ever-changing. I once heard a saying, the best defense in the world is offense. Although the 9 consecutive Benz formation was an offensive formation, with some slight modifications, it could cause the formation to stack layer by layer, ultimately forming a trapping state. When attacking, it also has the effect of trapping. Even a great overarching golden immortal would have a headache, right? An extraordinary splendor flashed in Star Tears' eyes. She didn't expect that the great Tang Heavenly Emperor in front of her was even more formidable than her in the field of arrays. Now look. She felt that there were too many mysteries surrounding the young man in front of her. Through the few interactions they had, she realized that she could not see through him at all. In the past, she had met countless outstanding geniuses, and the most outstanding one was even her nephew, Star Cultivation Great Emperor. However, the young man before him seemed to be even more outstanding than his nephew. Where did he come from? Star Tears' eyes flickered with a thoughtful look, but she didn't speak again. Time flew by. Finally, when Seaway Monarch and Sable Fiend Scorpio's figures appeared in their line of sight, Tan Xiao and Star Tears directly flashed into a concealment array arranged in advance. Lure him into the full moon star river. Tan Xiao sent a voice transmission to Seaway Monarch. Seaway Monarch didn't reply but directly flew to the surface of the 10,000-meter wide full moon star river with Sable Fiend Scorpio. They stepped on the sparkling surface of the river and slowly came to a stop. What kind of scoundrel are you? How dare you hide your head and tail and follow us all the way? Seaway Monarch deliberately looked angry and shouted while looking around. Were we discovered? Tao Lord Green Firmament looked surprised, but he pondered for a moment and then sent a message token again. After waiting for a few minutes, his figure appeared in the line of sight of Seaway Monarch and Sable Fiend Scorpio. Upon seeing their vigilant expressions, Tao Lord Green Firmament laughed aloud and said, I just happened to pass by and didn't expect to run into 2 fellow immortals. It's really fate that brought us together. Seaway Monarch frowned and indifferently said, I'm afraid it's not a coincidence that we met. You must have been following us all the way, right? Ever since we left Sunset City, I vaguely felt that someone was following us. It should be you, right? Tao Lord Green Firmament wanted to stall for time, so he immediately smiled and waved his hand. You misunderstood me, fellow immortal. I haven't been to Sunset City before and just passed by this place. However, you two look so vigilant as if everyone is your enemy. That's really surprising. Could it be that you two have done something wrong and have a lot of enemies? What we've done is none of your business, said Seaway Monarch indifferently. Since you said you're just passing by, then please leave quickly. Else, don't blame me for being impolite and beheading you here. The smile on Tao Lord Green Firmament's face gradually disappeared. He shot a deep look at Seaway Monarch and shook his head. You don't seem to be polite at all, do you? I greeted you with a smile, yet you spoke rudely and directly threatened me. I'm not in a good mood right now, so you need to apologize to me. I never apologize to anyone. Seaway Monarch sneered. Get the hell out of here if you know what's good for you, else you'll die today. Tao Lord Green Firmament took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, I've seen countless arrogant people in my life, but none of them are more arrogant than you. Don't blame me for being ruthless if you don't apologize. However, I'll give you a chance to introduce yourselves since you're strangers to me. Tell me, where are you from? How dare you be so arrogant in front of me, Tao Lord Green Firmament? After saying that, he unleashed an immortal sword from his body as if ready to attack at any time. Seaway Monarch's expression slightly changed. He recalled that Tan Xiao had sent him a voice transmission to stall for time and immediately said in a deep voice, shouldn't you introduce yourself first before inquiring about other people's background? Tao Lord Green Firmament relaxed inwardly. He was really afraid that Seaway Monarch would directly attack him. After all, he could feel that this guy in front of him was not weak and might even be stronger than him. Therefore, he needed to wait for his companions to arrive. After thinking for a while, he said, I've already introduced myself, but you're shallow and didn't hear it. However, it doesn't matter if I tell you again now. I'm Tao Lord Green Firmament, and my master is Myriad Thunder Supreme. Don't tell me you haven't heard of my master's name. Seaway Monarch deliberately showed a shocked expression and hurriedly cupped his fists. I didn't expect you to be Myriad Thunder Supreme's disciple. Who in the entire Heavenly Mountain Immortal Domain doesn't know Myriad Thunder Supreme's name? I didn't know Tao Lord Green Firmament's identity just now, so I hope you can forgive me. I'm Sky Hollow Immortal Venerable who recently came to the Heavenly Mountain Immortal Domain to explore the Demon Dragon Cave. Tao Lord Green Firmament felt relieved inwardly and a smile climbed up his face again. He then said with a smile, you can't be blamed for not knowing. Sky Hollow Immortal Monarch, you're truly capable to dare to explore the Demon Dragon Cave. You must have had a great harvest there, yes? It's nothing worth mentioning, though, said Seaway Monarch with a smile. Tao Lord Green Firmament's expression suddenly shifted and he immediately flew towards Seaway Monarch and Sable Fiend Scorpio. When he arrived tens of meters away from them, he smilingly said, Sky Hollow Immortal Monarch, you may not know this, but we have a rule here. That is, if there are benefits, everyone will share them. No matter who gains something, they will have to share it with the others. Seaway Monarch's expression changed and he immediately looked vigilant. Whoosh, a hazy figure flashed from the distance and appeared next to Tao Lord Green Firmament in just a few breaths. He was wearing combat boots, holding a spear, and wearing a blood-colored robe, looking majestic and awe-inspiring. Styx River Venerable. Seaway Monarch's expression changed and he said in a deep voice. Styx River Venerable raised his brows and looked a bit surprised. I didn't expect it to be Seaway Monarch. I didn't expect to meet again in this Heavenly Mountain Immortal Domain after a millennium. It's really fate. Tao Lord Green Firmament stared blankly and asked with a puzzled expression, what did you say his name was, Senior Brother Styx River? Seaway Monarch? He just called himself Sky Hollow Immortal Monarch. Sky Hollow Immortal Monarch? Styx River Venerable wore a strange expression and immediately burst into laughter. He's just teasing you, junior brother Green Firmament. He's a dignified Seaway monarch, a perfected golden immortal. How could he possibly be some sky-hollow immortal monarch? Seaway monarch narrowed his eyes and glanced at Tao Lord Green Firmament and Styx River Venerable several times. Then, he asked with a smile, Tao Lord Green Firmament, you've been following me since I came out of the Golden Fragrance Pavilion. Moreover, you deliberately talked to me because you were waiting for Styx River Venerable to come and join forces to rob my treasure, right? Tao Lord Green Firmament grinned. It's too late now. Senior brother Styx River, this guy got a treasure from the Demon Dragon Cave. We can't waste this God-given opportunity since we've encountered him. Styx River Venerable nodded and smiled. It's indeed a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The treasure in the Demon Dragon Cave must be very valuable since Seaway Monarch is satisfied with it. Tao Lord Green Firmament revealed an eager expression and grinned sinisterly. Then let's kill him and snatch him. Seaway Monarch burst into laughter. Tao Lord Green Firmament, did you forget the name I just told you? I'm Sky Hollow Immortal Monarch, and I'm always tricking fools like you. Buzz, an invisible energy surged in the dark. The next moment, Ten Xiao and Star Tears appeared out of thin air and came to Seaway Monarch and Sable Fiend Scorpio's side. Tan Xiao grinned and said, I'm a bit disappointed. I thought I could lure a few perfected golden immortals here, but I didn't expect that only Styx River Venerable would come. Tao Lord Green Firmament's expression changed. He never expected that someone would be hiding in a concealment array nearby. This young man seemed to have a very low cultivation level, but the woman beside him had a very powerful aura. She was at least a perfected golden immortal. Could it be, is this a trap? Tao Lord Green Firmament and Styx River Venerable exchanged glances and immediately said in a deep voice, two perfected golden immortals, do you think you can set a trap for us with your strength? Chapter 1308. Tan Xiao smiled faintly and said, since we're going to set up a trap for our prey, we naturally need to have an absolute advantage. What are you waiting for, Zenith Venerable? In the distance, a figure exuding a huge aura quickly appeared. A smile hung on Zenith Venerable's face as he said with a clear voice, Master, I've known this Tao Lord Green Firmament for thousands of years, but this is the first time I've seen him have such a big face that he actually needs so many of us to send him on his way. So you know Tao Lord Green Firmament? Tan Xiao smiled. That's right. Not only do I know him, but I also have some grudges with him. Zenith Venerable grinned. This guy is a hypocrite. Thousands of years ago, when he and I were still in the Golden Immortal Realm, one of Tao Lord Green Firmament's junior brothers obtained a flowing light immortal shuttle and was killed by him. That's right, he gave me 1,000,000 crystal essences and asked me to help him. Tao Lord Green Firmament's expression turned livid with disbelief in his eyes. He shouted, Zenith Venerable, you're a perfected golden immortal, yet you actually recognize someone else as your master? You, do you have any shame? Shame? Zenith Venerable sneered. Is shame important? Or is your life more important? Hiss, Tao Lord Green Firmament couldn't help but gasp upon hearing this. He could tell that Zenith Venerable's life was in someone else's hands. If he wanted to live, he could only obey and recognize someone else as his master. However, Zenith Venerable was a perfected golden immortal expert. Who could subdue him? Tan Xiao looked at Tao Lord Green Firmament and Styx River Venerable and said with a faint smile, how do you feel now? Do you think we can kill you? Tao Lord Green Firmament sneered. 3 perfected golden immortals is indeed a lot, but it's just a pipe dream to kill us 2 martial brothers. Tan Xiao smiled faintly and said, we can't, but what if we add some more people? With that said, he directly released the other 6 Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals from the heavenly abode and said with a smile, 10 Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals. I think it should be enough to kill the 2 of you in this 9 bends chain formation, right? Tao Lord Green Firmament was dumbfounded. He felt as though he had fallen into an icy cavern as fear occupied his heart. If it was merely 10 golden immortals, then he wouldn't be so afraid. But while he was trapped by the 9-chain bends formation, he noticed to his shock that the transmission talisman was unable to be sent out, and even his life-saving treasure, the Lightstream Immortal Shuttle, was of no use. At the side, Styx River Immortal Venerable also revealed a horrified expression, especially when he heard Tan Xiu say, 10 perfected golden immortals, which made him scared out of his wits. He could only identify the 9 perfected golden immortals through their auras. His eyes kept wandering between Tan Xiu and Sablefiend Scorpio before finally locking on Sablefiend Scorpio. Master, how about I kill Styx River Immortal Venerable? Sablefiend Scorpio floated to Tan Xiu's front and respectfully spoke. Tan Xiu raised his brows and asked, do you think you can quickly kill him by yourself? I can kill him in half an incense stick worth of time, said Sablefiend Scorpio confidently. Also, this subordinate dares not conceal anything from Master. Styx River Immortal Venerable and I have a deep enmity. I still hate him even though I made him pay a painful price in the past. If it wasn't for the protection of his master, Myriad Thunder Supreme, I would have killed him long ago, making him unable to reincarnate forever. You have enmity with him? Asked Tan Xiu in surprise. What happened? He killed my 4 sons and slaughtered my scorpion stronghold, said Sablefiend Scorpio. Styx River Immortal Venerable's pupils shrunk upon hearing Sablefiend Scorpio's words. Horror filled his eyes and he shouted fiercely, you're Sablefiend Scorpio. Damn! You actually became someone else's slave, you poisonous scorpion. Sablefiend Scorpio revealed her true face and coldly said, Styx River Immortal, you can shout all you want now. As long as Master gives the order, I'll definitely kill you and scatter your soul. Styx River Immortal Venerable clenched his fists and was about to speak when his complexion drastically changed all of a sudden. He saw his junior brother, Tao Lord Green Firmament, kneeling in the void. Tao Lord Green Firmament, you coward. Tao Lord Green Firmament ignored Styx River Immortal Venerable and fearfully looked at the 10 perfected golden immortals around him. His eyes finally fell on Tan Xiu and he begged for mercy. This Master, Tao Lord Green Firmament, was so muddle-headed to attack your people. Please spare my life and I'll definitely regard you as my master in the future. Also, my senior brother, no, there's also Styx River Immortal Venerable. That damned bastard has a deep enmity with your subordinates. I'll help you kill him if you spare my life. Green Firmament, you bastard. Styx River Immortal Venerable glared at him with bloodshot eyes. It was Tao Lord Green Firmament who lured him here. Now that he saw how powerful the enemy was, he actually begged the enemy for mercy like a dog and even wanted to kill him. He was simply worse than a beast. Tao Lord Green Firmament turned to look at Styx River Immortal Venerable with a hideous grin on his face and said, I don't want to die, senior brother Styx River, so you have to die. Who told you to have a deep enmity with this master's subordinates? Don't worry, as long as this master is willing to spare my life, I'll definitely kill you and scatter your soul. A strange expression appeared on Tan Xiu's face. He looked at Tao Lord Green Firmament's appearance and suddenly recalled Zither Demon Jiuyao. None of them are good people. Tan Xiu sighed faintly. You're really good, Tao Lord Green Firmament. A wise man submits to circumstances. Surviving is more important than anything else. Since you've chosen to surrender, then place a wisp of your immortal soul in this soul plate. I'll naturally spare your life as long as I can easily control your life and death. After all, it's not that easy to get a perfected golden immortal subordinate. Tao Lord Green Firmament hesitated for a moment before he finally gritted his teeth and released a wisp of his immortal soul into the soul plate. He watched as Tan Xiu put away the soul plate and refined it. His heart was full of bitterness, for he knew that his life was in the hands of the other party from now on. As long as the other party willed it, he would die without a burial place. But, even so, it was still much better than being annihilated by 10 perfected golden immortals. Sablefiend Scorpio, we're running out of time and can't afford to waste it here. So, you guys attack together and kill him as fast as possible. But the rest of you, listen to me. Leave the last blow to Sablefiend Scorpio and let her destroy his soul. Understood, 11 perfected golden immortals, including Tao Lord Green Firmament, launched a fierce attack on Styx River Immortal Venerable at the same time. In just a few breaths, Styx River Immortal Venerable's immortal body was severely damaged. Although he was not dismembered, the ghastly wounds still caused him great damage. Puff! An immortal sword slashed down from the top of Styx River Immortal Venerable's head and directly cleaved him into two halves while he was resisting the other's attacks. The moment his immortal soul rushed out of his body in an attempt to escape, Sablefiend Scorpio cast a spell and a thunderbolt instantly bombarded his immortal soul. Extinguish! Sablefiend Scorpio fiercely manipulated the immortal sword. The moment the thunderbolt bombarded Styx River Immortal Venerable's immortal soul, the immortal sword swept across the heavily injured immortal soul and directly obliterated it. Tang Xiu didn't expect that this assassination mission would turn out to be so easy. He looked at Tao Lord Green Firmament, who was trembling with fear as he hovered in the air. Tang Xiu took the interspatial ring thrown by Star Tears and stuffed it into his ring without looking at it. Then, he calmly said, "I'll give you a chance to live. Immediately send a message to those perfected golden immortals near Heavenly Mountain and tell them to come here. If you can do it, you'll be qualified to follow me in the future." Tao Lord Green Firmament stared blankly and asked with a confused expression, "Who exactly are you, Master?" "Why?" Tan Xiu's expression turned cold and he coldly said, "I naturally won't conceal anything you should know. Don't inquire about things you shouldn't know. I can tell you that I'm the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor, the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor of the Great Tang Empire. I'm also the person you'll need to pledge your loyalty to in the future." Understood. Tao Lord Green Firmament's expression slightly changed. He finally nodded silently and said, "Master, you need to leave the 9 Chains Ben's array if you want to send a message to those perfected golden immortals." Tan Xiu cast a series of seals to open the 9 Chains Ben's array and then said, "You should know what to say and what not to say." "This subordinate understands, Master," replied Tao Lord Green Firmament hurriedly. Soon after, Tao Lord Green Firmament sent out a communication talisman. Tan Xiu took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "Get ready and wait for the prey to arrive. I hope we can get a good harvest this time." Prey. Harvest? Tao Lord Green Firmament faintly realized that the master in front of him didn't seem to have a grudge against them, but rather wanted to kill and rob them. However, this was really a big move. There were only a handful of people in the entire immortal world who dared to do such a thing. Time fleeted by. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. However, the message sent by Tao Lord Green Firmament was like a stone sinking into the sea as there was no response. Sitting cross-legged inside the concealment array, Tan Xiu's eyes flickered as he pondered. Occasionally, he glanced at Tao Lord Green Firmament's face not far away and found that the latter's eyes kept sweeping in the direction of the heavenly mountain with a perturbed expression. Suddenly, Tan Xiu's expression shifted. Tan Xiu's expression turned complicated when a breathtakingly beautiful woman in a red robe and red boots appeared in his field of vision along with 4 perfected golden immortals. It had been many years since they last met. Tan Xiu didn't feel any trace of age on Apotheosis Bella. She was still so beautiful, still so peerless in her generation. He wasn't a cold-hearted person. Facing a woman who didn't even care about her reputation, bravely confessed her love to him on any occasion and any place, and did everything for him many times, he still had some tenderness in his heart. However, that tenderness was not the love between a man and a woman. Chapter 1309. Apotheosis Bella, who was treading on the void and quickly moving forward, also saw Tan Xiu appear from the concealment array with a group of powerhouses around him. Apotheosis Bella's eyes swept over Tan Xiu's handsome face, but she didn't stop and looked at the other perfected golden immortals around her. "All of them are strangers." Apotheosis Bella slightly furrowed her brows. She appeared a kilometer away from Tan Xiu's group with the 4 perfected golden immortals and immediately halted their pace. Tan Xiu sighed inwardly and said in a deep voice, "Except for Tao Lord Green Firmament, everyone else is to enter the heavenly abode artifact." Understood. Everyone cupped their fists and then entered the heavenly abode artifact. However, before leaving, Star Tears looked at Apotheosis Bella with a strange expression and an inexplicable feeling in her heart. Tan Xiao looked at Apotheosis Bella and casually made a gesture. At the moment when Apotheosis Bella's expression drastically changed, he faintly sighed and said, "You've suffered all these years." Apotheosis Bella's eyes were fixedly staring at Tan Xiao's face. She could easily see the familiar look in his eyes. It was the look she had been longing to see for countless days and nights. "All of you, stay here and wait for me." Apotheosis Bella tilted her head and gave an order. Then, she flew toward Tan Xiao. When she came in front of Tan Xiao, she casually laid out a concealment array and pulled Tan Xiao's wrist into the concealment array. "Is it really, you?" Apotheosis Bella's lips squirmed and tears welled up in her eyes. Tan Xiao nodded without a word. He could feel Apotheosis Bella's surging emotions. He sighed inwardly again and said bitterly, "Who would have thought that we would meet again under such circumstances and in such a place after the sudden change in the past? Thank you, Bella. I need to apologize to you again." Apotheosis Bella's eyes burst into tears. Although she tried her best to suppress her emotions, she still rushed into Tan Xiao's arms and held him tightly. If she still had doubts before, she was now 100% sure that the person in front of her was Tan Xiao, the man she had loved for thousands of years. His scent. It was still so familiar. "I miss you." Apotheosis Bella's immortal body trembled violently and her tears quickly wetted Tan Xiao's shoulder. Endless longing turned into yearning tears, as if she wanted to vent all the grievances she had suffered over the years. Tan Xiao's body stiffened, but in the end, he still raised his hand and patted her back to comfort her. After a long while. Only then did Apotheosis Bella stop crying. She looked at Tan Xiao's face with teary eyes and carefully held the strange yet familiar face with both hands, murmuring, "I've dreamed of this scene countless times in the past. I've woken up from crying countless times in the past. Xiao, I really missed you." Tan Xiao didn't speak because he didn't know what to say. Although he had learned some things, he understood that Apotheosis Bella had sacrificed too much for him. She risked her life again and again to protect the people he once cared about. Her relatives and friends died in battle again and again for the sake of her true feelings for him. She had faced death countless times, yet she still persisted and persisted. Tan Xiao knew that from now on, there was one more person he cared about in this world, a woman he never wanted to see wronged. After a long time, Apotheosis Bella's cheeks were still covered with tears, but there was a smile on her face as she softly said, "I haven't been able to touch your cheek since you met her. I haven't been able to be hugged by you since you met her. Do you know? The days when we were born together are the happiest and most cherished days for me. I'm sorry." Tan Xiao's heart was full of guilt. Apotheosis Bella gently raised her hand to block Tan Xiao's lips. She shook her head and softly said, "Don't say sorry to me. I never want to hear those 3 words again. Xiao, I'm actually very happy now because I know you've been enlightened." "Enlightened? What do you mean?" asked Tan Xiao, confused. "Apotheosis Mu told me before that you have more than one woman now," said Apotheosis Bella with a smile. Tan Xiao stared blankly for a moment before an awkward look appeared on his face. He forced a smile and said, "I don't belong to the immortal world. Ever since Great Emperor Danqing, Zither Demon Jiuyao, and her joined hands to persecute me, I've returned to the place where I once belonged. My parents, relatives, and friends are also there. Speaking of which, I should even thank them. If it weren't for them, I would have never been able to remove the demon in my heart." "You turned out to be." Apotheosis Bella was surprised. "A wisp of my soul traveled to the immortal world," said Tan Xiao. "Eventually, I became the young master of the Rosefinch Holy Sect. They are my parents and relatives, but there are also my parents and relatives in the other world." Apotheosis Bella suddenly understood and said, "I don't care who you are. I just need to know that I, Apotheosis Bella, am your woman from now on. I once tried to make you accept me because I was scrupulous about her. She's gone now, but my obsession is still there. You, Tan Shio's lips squirmed, but his words were blocked by Apotheosis Bella's hand again. Apotheosis Bella deeply stared at Tan Shio's eyes and said word by word, Bella, will only recognize one man in my life. I don't care how many women you have, as long as you have me in your heart and love me, that's enough. Unless you want me to live alone until I die, with no one to love and care for me. Tan Shio gently grabbed her wrist and said, Bella, why are you doing this? I love you, so I'm willing, said Apotheosis Bella with all seriousness. I'm willing and willing. Tan Shio took a deep breath and said, I've wronged you too much. It's all my fault. I'll accept you if you don't mind. All right. Apotheosis Bella wept tears of joy and hugged Tan Shio again. Suddenly, Apotheosis Bella's expression slightly changed and she hurriedly stopped crying. She quickly converged her aura and said in a low voice, I can sense the aura of a powerhouse. It should be a supremacy stage powerhouse. A glint flashed in Tan Shio's eyes and he said in a deep voice, if my guess is correct, it should be Myriad Thunder Supreme. Before you came here, I brought people to kill Myriad Thunder Supreme's disciple, Styx River Venerable, and made his disciple, Tao Lord Green Firmament, my slave. I'm afraid Myriad Thunder Supreme came here because his disciple was killed. Apotheosis Bella revealed a trace of killing intent and said in a deep voice, since he's here, let's keep him here. Quickly change your appearance and aura. Tan Shio nodded. I've asked clearly. Myriad Thunder Supreme is the only supremacy in Heavenly Mountain, and there are only 6 perfected golden immortals. One of them is dead, and the other one's life is under my control. The enemies we have to face are only 1 supremacy and 4 perfected golden immortals. Apotheosis Bella suddenly asked, I just noticed that you seem to have a lot of perfected golden immortals around you. Who are they? I bought all of them from the convict arena, said Tan Shio. Anti-Star Tears is also among them. However, I didn't tell her my true identity, so I can't tell anyone except for you and Apotheon Mu. Else, we'll have to face endless pursuit once Great Emperor Danqing and Zither Demon Jiuyao find out about it. Apotheosis Bella nodded and said, Apotheon Mu has already told me about it. Don't worry. No one will learn about it from me. Tan Shio nodded and pulled Apotheosis Bella out of the concealment array. They then appeared next to Apotheosis Bella's 4 perfected golden immortal subordinates. What happened, Green Firmament? Your senior brother Mingi's life card is broken, which means that his soul has perished. Give me an explanation. Alone, Myriad Thunder Supreme's eyes flashed as he asked in a deep voice. Tao Lord Green Firmament was panic-stricken, but he didn't dare to tell the truth in the face of his master Myriad Thunder Supreme's inquiry. Although he respected his master Myriad Thunder Supreme, his life was still under Tan Shio's control and he didn't want to die. Therefore, he was willing to act even if his master Myriad Thunder Supreme was killed. Master, senior brother Mingi just encountered a powerful enemy called Sable-Fiend Scorpio. Her strength is very terrifying and she's just a step away from breaking through to the supremacy stage. Furthermore, she has a very terrifying immortal artifact. When I arrived, senior brother Mingi was already on the verge of death. I didn't even have time to rescue him before Sable-Fiend Scorpio killed him, said Tao Lord Green Firmament quickly. Sable-Fiend Scorpio. Myriad Thunder Supreme exuded an intense killing intent. He was well aware of the blood feud between his disciple and Sable-Fiend Scorpio. If Sable-Fiend Scorpio hadn't escaped so fast, he would have helped his disciple eliminate this hidden danger. Looking at his pale disciple, Tao Lord Green Firmament, he asked in a deep voice, where did that damned Sable-Fiend Scorpio go? Did she just let you go? Master, Sable-Fiend Scorpio seems to have suffered heavy injuries after killing senior brother. Tao Lord Green Firmament hurriedly replied. I originally wanted to avenge senior brother Mingi, but she didn't bother me at all and directly fled. She was too fast and I couldn't catch up with her. Hence, I sent a message to some of my senior brothers to help me hunt down Sable-Fiend Scorpio. Is that so? A cold light flashed in Myriad Thunder Supreme's eyes. Immediately after, his big hand slapped toward Tao Lord Green Firmament and sent him flying thousands of miles away. Then, he coldly said, "You may be my disciple, but you should be well aware of the consequences of deceiving me." Tao Lord Green Firmament flew back and bitterly said, "Everything this disciple said is true, Master. I sent a message to my senior brothers that a perfected golden immortal has a precious treasure and asked them to come and help me snatch it. It's because I was worried that my senior brothers and junior brothers wouldn't come, so I lied when I sent them the message. If you don't believe me, I can take you to chase after Sable Fiend Scorpio." "Chase?" Myriad Thunder Supreme sneered. "It's been such a long time. Where are we going to chase after her? Do you know where she fled to?" "I know. I secretly put soul-chasing powder on her," said Tao Lord Green Firmament hurriedly. "Today's explosion has ended. I'm begging for the minimum monthly vote support." Chapter 13:10. Myriad Thunder Supreme didn't notice that Tao Lord Green Firmament was already hovering in the air above the full moon star river after returning from afar. He took a step forward and directly appeared in front of Tao Lord Green Firmament. He grabbed his shoulder and was about to ask Sable Fiend Scorpio's direction of escape. However, at this moment, the surrounding aura suddenly changed and several figures appeared. The moment Myriad Thunder Supreme looked at them, Tao Lord Green Firmament, who was standing next to him, suddenly had a cold glint flash in his eyes. An 8th grade immortal artifact, the Lightstream Shuttle, shot out from his palm and directly penetrated Myriad Thunder Supreme's immortal body. Streams of destructive immortal force gushed into Myriad Thunder Supreme's body. In a split second, Myriad Thunder Supreme screamed miserably and was sent flying into the distance. Shortly after, a rainbow-like sword light tore through the space and fiercely slashed toward Myriad Thunder Supreme's flying immortal body. The sword light didn't give Myriad Thunder Supreme any time to dodge as it slashed his immortal body. More than a dozen immortal artifacts followed closely behind the sword light. Even though Myriad Thunder Supreme's immortal body was cut into 2 pieces and instantly fused back into one, those artifacts still left him with wounds all over his body and blood stained his tattered clothes. Why? Myriad Thunder Supreme was severely injured all of a sudden and his eyes were filled with resentment. He unleashed 13 black flags and quickly arranged layers of defense around him. His eyes then fell on Tao Lord Green Firmament. With a guilty look on his face, Tao Lord Green Firmament didn't dare to look at Myriad Thunder Supreme's eyes. However, he still spoke bitterly with helplessness, "Please forgive this disciple, Master. I had no choice. My life is in the hands of Great Tang Heavenly Emperor. If I hadn't attacked you, I'm afraid I would have been the next one to die. Didn't you painstakingly cultivate us just to make us stronger and live well? You're not far from the end of your lifespan, so it's better to leave the hope of survival to this disciple." Tao Lord Green Firmament's words infuriated Myriad Thunder Supremacy to the point that 2 Buddhas ascended to heaven. Deep regret turned into a sea of bitterness in his heart, making him wish to tear Tao Lord Green Firmament's body into pieces. "You deceived your master and destroyed your ancestors." Myriad Thunder Supreme took out a healing elixir from his interspatial ring and swallowed it. Then, he looked around with murderous eyes. Soon after, a bitter smile appeared on his face as he loudly said, "I didn't expect that you would mobilize such a large force just to kill me. 1 Supremacy Stage Expert and 14 Perfected Golden Immortals. Good move, really good move." Standing tens of thousands of meters away and protected by Star Tears and Sable Fiend Scorpio, Tan Xiu sneered. "Myriad Thunder Supreme, is it? We are not interested in you. We are interested in your wealth. Hand over your spatial ring, hand over all your treasures, and perhaps we can spare your dog life. Otherwise, this day next year will be your death anniversary." Myriad Thunder Supreme seemed to have heard the most incredible thing in the world. While quickly healing himself, he asked in disbelief, "You mean, you set up a trap here just to rob me of my wealth?" Tan Xiu rolled his eyes and snorted. If it wasn't to rob you of your wealth, why would we come looking for you? Do you think we've taken a fancy to you just because you're handsome?" Myriad Thunder Supreme's body shivered and a strange emotion surged inside his heart. "For money. Just for the sake of money, these damned bastards are actually trying to kill me? Had it not been for my strength, I would have been killed by their sneak attack just now. Even so, my current injury is still very serious. If I can't leave as soon as possible and find a safe place to heal, it will only lead to my injury getting worse. Did you guys set up an array here? Asked Myriad Thunder Supreme coldly as he looked around. Tan Shio gave him a thumbs up and praised, "You're worthy to be a supremacy stage powerhouse. You can even see the array we set up." That's right, these 18 interlocking arrays are just small arrays that pose no threat to supremacy stage powerhouses. Heh heh. Myriad Thunder Supreme looked at Tan Shio's malicious expression and nearly gnashed his teeth in anger. He took a deep breath. He knew that even if he wasn't seriously injured, he wouldn't be able to defeat these people. Now that he was seriously injured, he would be the one to die if he were to fight them head-on. Therefore, he coldly stared at Tan Shio and asked, "You can call the shots here?" Tan Shio nodded and smilingly said, "That's right. I can call the shots here." Myriad Thunder Supreme took a deep breath, took out the interspatial ring and threw it to Tan Shio. He said coldly, "This is my spatial ring. All of my wealth is inside. Can you let me go now?" Tan Shio took the interspatial ring and found that the mark left by Myriad Thunder Supreme had been erased. He immediately probed the interspatial ring with his spiritual sense. The next moment, his eyes suddenly lit up. It was because the wealth in this interspatial ring was more than all the wealth he had before. Immediately, Tang Xiu put Myriad Thunder Supreme's interspatial ring into his own ring and grinningly said, "I just told you to hand over all your wealth, didn't I? Else, I'll have to exterminate you. That interspatial ring contains all my wealth." Myriad Thunder Supreme angrily shouted. "Are you retarded or what?" Tan Xiu said contemptuously. "What's the point of lying through your teeth? If I'm not mistaken, that set of array flags around you should be a set of top-grade immortal artifacts, right? A defensive 9th-grade immortal artifact is very valuable. Also, hand over all your innate natal artifacts. Dream on." Myriad Thunder Supreme was furious. If it weren't for the supremacy and dozens of perfected golden immortals glaring at him like a tiger watching its prey, he would have slapped that bastard to death. Tan Xiu sneered. "Although there's a lot of wealth in your interspatial ring, since we're planning to rob a supremacy stage powerhouse, we naturally have to implement the 3 lights policy. You don't know what the 3 lights policy means, do you? Let me explain it to you. It's to rob, and rob again. Hurry up and hand over that set of array flags and your innate natal artifact. Else, I'll immediately kill you." Myriad Thunder Supreme coughed up a mouthful of blood again after being angered by Tan Xiu. He angrily shouted, "Do you think I'm a fool? Once I hand over the array flags and my innate natal artifact, I'm afraid you'll immediately attack me." Tan Xiu shook his head and said, "I'm afraid we'll have to pay a heavy price to kill a supremacy. Hence, I won't be stupid enough to lose my people for the sake of wealth. Therefore, I can assure you that I'll spare your life as long as you hand over the array flags and your innate natal artifact. In any case, you don't know who the people who robbed you are." Myriad Thunder Supreme suddenly realized that the appearance of these people in front of him had changed, and even their auras had changed. "Who the hell are you?" asked Myriad Thunder Supreme in a deep voice. Tan Xiu rolled his eyes and snappily said, "It's said that old people become shrewd, yet why do I feel like you're getting more and more muddle-headed? If we tell you our real identities, you'll probably be killed today, no?" Myriad Thunder Supreme was stunned and immediately scolded himself for being muddle-headed. Then, he indifferently said, "I can give you this set of array flags, but my innate natal artifact is out of the question. I'll give it to you now if you want. But if you don't, I'll drag some of you down with me even if I have to die here today. Deal." Tang Xiu let out a faint smile and nodded happily. Myriad Thunder Supreme put away the array flags and patted Tan Xiu. Then, he said in a deep voice, "Remove the array here and let me go." Tan Xiu took the array flags and fiddled with them for a long time. Then, he laughed and said, "What the hell are you waiting for? Didn't you hear what I just said? Let him go. Immediately open the array and let him go. Myriad Thunder Supreme secretly heaved a sigh of relief after hearing it. As long as he could survive, he would have a chance for revenge. No matter who these people were, as long as they came to this immortal realms, they would definitely leave behind some clues. When he found them, he would definitely make them pay back 1,000 times over. However, after waiting for a few minutes, he was stunned to find that the supremacy and the dozens of perfected golden immortals didn't move at all. Even the murderous aura they exuded was a bit thicker than before. What the hell is going on? I've already given you what you want. Why haven't you removed the array and let me go? Myriad Thunder Supreme angrily shouted. Apotheosis Bella, who had changed her appearance, looked at Myriad Thunder Supreme as though she was looking at an idiot. She shook her head and sighed. I thought Myriad Thunder Supreme was a wise powerhouse, but I didn't expect him to be an idiot. As a supremacy stage powerhouse, how could I listen to a weakling who hasn't even reached the golden immortal stage? His promise to you is his business. He's not strong enough, so he naturally doesn't want to deal with you. But there are so many of us here, so how can we let you go? Unless you hand over your innate natal artifact. Puff, Myriad Thunder Supreme coughed up a mouthful of blood and crazily coughed up again. At this moment, how could he not realize that the other party was just toying with him? Snatching wealth and not taking his own life? It was simply a bunch of nonsense. Myriad Thunder Supreme's killing intent burst out. His innate natal immortal sword kept hovering around his immortal body as he fiercely shouted, "Shameless bastard! You call yourselves powerhouses of the immortal world in vain. You want to kill me today, so I'll drag you to hell with me. Come on, bring it on." Ha ha ha, Tan Xiu burst into laughter and said, "Awesome! Awesome!" A dignified supremacy stage powerhouse was actually fooled by a nobody like me. That's really interesting. That's right, I seem to have recorded the whole scene with the nanolight immortal mirror. If I make 10 million copies and sell them, I'm sure I can get a big price, no? Chapter 13:11. Myriad Thunder Supreme felt as though he was struck by lightning and was in a daze. Never in his wildest dreams did he expect that the scene of him being tricked just now would be recorded by that damned bastard through the nanolight immortal mirror. Never did he expect that the other party would be so vicious and want to copy the recorded scene into tens of millions of copies and sell them at a high price. This was totally using his reputation to seek benefits. Apotheosis Bella's expression shifted. Realizing that Myriad Thunder Supreme's mental state was not right, she immediately launched a brazen attack. Her 9th grade immortal sword instantly slashed out. The seemingly messy sword move was filled with a special sword Dao charm and nearly cut off one of Myriad Thunder Supreme's arms in a flash. Strangle. Shadowless, God-slaying incantation, more than a dozen perfected golden immortals also launched swift and fierce attacks. In particular, under Tan Xiu's instruction, Sablefiend Scorpio transformed into her true form. Along with flickering afterimages, her sharp tail hook pierced Myriad Thunder Supreme's buttocks and tore off a piece of flesh. This is a good chance. Standing tens of thousands of meters away, Tan Xiu quietly crushed a poisonous pill. Under the infusion of primal chaos force, a colorless and odorless poisonous gas quickly filled the area where Myriad Thunder Supreme was located. Get the fuck away. Myriad Thunder Supreme blasted away Seaway Monarch and Zenith Venerable. His natal immortal sword instantly pierced through Celestial Stone Golem's abdomen. Amidst the Celestial Stone Golem's screams, he punched Flaming Demonic Lion's chest. In just an instant, the 4 perfected golden immortal powerhouses suffered heavy injuries from Myriad Thunder Supreme. However, his injuries were even more serious because he had no way to avoid the others' attacks. He could only rely on his powerful physique to avoid getting hit on his vital parts. Blood spurted out from his mouth as he was sent flying. Break! While flying backward, Myriad Thunder Supreme shot out a shuttle-shaped immortal artifact from his mouth and fiercely bombarded the 9 Chains Ben's array. The air surged and the 9 Chains Ben's array barely withstood Myriad Thunder Supreme's crazy attack. 1,000 Threads Entanglement, burn. A transparent thread invisible to the naked eye instantly wrapped around Myriad Thunder Supreme's bare feet. After Apotheosis Bella shouted out those words, the transparent thread suddenly burst into flames. It was the evil karma true fire. Apotheosis Bella had killed tens of thousands of enemies, collected their inner fire, and finally refined it into a terrifying immortal artifact. Bastard! Myriad Thunder Supreme roared in anger. He wanted to manipulate his natal immortal sword to cut off the line of fire, but the frenzied attacks from others made it impossible for him to withdraw his natal immortal sword. Just as he roared, his heart suddenly felt as if it had fallen into an ice cave, and an even greater sense of danger arose in his heart. 10 kills. The lupus demon wolf appeared in front of Myriad Thunder Supreme in an instant. Its 2 long blades formed a scissors battle stance and directly cut off Myriad Thunder Supreme's neck. So easy. Lupus monstrous wolf stared blankly at Myriad Thunder Supreme's head that was smashed by Apotheosis Bella's immortal sword. A look of disbelief immediately appeared on its face. Lupus monstrous wolf's body suddenly trembled and its figure suddenly retreated 10,000 meters. It then turned its head to look at Tan Xiao with lingering fear. He could sense a highly toxic aura coming from it. Therefore, the puzzlement he felt just now was as though the clouds and mist were dispelled in an instant. He finally understood that part of the reason why Myriad Thunder Supreme was beheaded was that he had been poisoned unknowingly. Puff, 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 an immortal artifact bombarded Myriad Thunder Supreme's broken body. Then, an immortal soul rushed out of the broken body and bombarded the 9 interlocking bends array lightning fast. The 9 interlocking bends array was smashed like a broken mirror, but Myriad Thunder Supreme's immortal soul also suffered great damage. While screaming and fleeing to the distance, it was hit by an arrow light and eventually exploded into chaotic energy flows. Tan Xiao's figure floated and instantly appeared in front of Myriad Thunder Supreme's broken body. He grabbed Myriad Thunder Supreme's innate natal artifact and smilingly said, "Who said that supremacy stage powerhouses can't be killed?" Myriad Thunder Supreme was Great Emperor Danqing's martial uncle, yet he still died in our hands. However, this matter must be concealed and no one is allowed to leak out what happened today. Understood. Everyone replied one after another. Tan Xiao shifted to the grief-stricken Tao Lord Green Firmament and lightly said, "Do you feel very sad? After all, Myriad Thunder Supreme is your master." Tao Lord Green Firmament's expression changed and he hurriedly shook his head. No, no. Myriad Thunder Supreme deserved to die. Tan Xiao deliberately showed a satisfied look and nodded. You're very good. A wise man submits to circumstances. You're a genius. Tell me, are there any powerful immortals nearby? If so, we'll go all the way and continue to slaughter and plunder their wealth. Tao Lord Green Firmament hesitated for a moment before he finally gritted his teeth and said, "Yes, there are 4 of my senior brothers in the direction of the Heavenly Mountain. They are all perfected golden immortals and dozens of golden immortals. Even if their combined wealth is not as good as my master's, no, even if it's not as good as Myriad Thunder Supreme, I'm afraid it's not much worse." Tan Xiao's eyes lit up and he grinned. That's great. Let's head straight to the Heavenly Mountain now. We must kill all those people and then plunder all their wealth. Tao Lord Green Firmament, I'll give you 1/10 of my wealth as a reward as long as our operation goes smoothly. I'll even give you a divine ability secret technique, a terrifying divine ability secret technique that only a supreme being can create. Tao Lord Green Firmament's eyes lit up and he immediately gratefully said, "Thank you, Master. Green Firmament will definitely do his best for you." Tan Xiao nodded with satisfaction. He walked to him, patted his shoulder and smilingly said, "Lead the way. The sooner we finish this, the sooner we can go back." At the Heavenly Mountain. Venerable Myriad Notes, Venerable Soaring Plum, Venerable 9 Immortal Fingers, and Venerable Enchantress Yu, who were chained to the mountain cliff, were doing their best to heal their injuries. Although they didn't have any healing pills, with their strength, they could at least heal some of their injuries in half a day. Persevering. They were all persevering. Even if the hope of being rescued in the future was slim, they still didn't want to give up. It was hatred that kept them persevering, hoping that one day they could break free and kill all their enemies. Senior Brother Myriad notes. Soaring Plum, who had closed his eyes to heal his injuries, suddenly opened them. A bright light flashed in his eyes as he called out. Apotheon Myriad notes, 9 immortal fingers, and Enchantress Yu opened their eyes at the same time and looked at Soaring Plum. What's the matter, Junior Brother Soaring Plum? Asked Apotheon Myriad notes. Soaring Plum looked around and said, Did you notice that the number of people guarding us in the past seems to have decreased a lot? Apotheon Myriad notes slightly furrowed his brows and slowly nodded. Ever since Tao Lord Green Firmament left, Styx River Venerable who was guarding us also quietly left. Not long ago, Myriad Thunder Supreme, who has been staying on the mountain summit, also disappeared. You're right, Senior Brother. Soaring Plum nodded. I can sense that there are only 4 perfected golden immortals on the heavenly mountain now. There are also dozens of golden immortals. If we can break free from the shackles and sacrifice 2 or 3 of our lives, maybe some of us can escape. Let's not talk about our current serious injuries, there's also a restriction personally cast by Myriad Thunder Supreme. Apotheon Myriad notes shook his head. We can't contend with just those 4 perfected golden immortals. If we weren't injured, it wouldn't be a problem for us to join hands and kill all 4 of them. But we can't do it now. Damn it, we're too close to each other, else I'll detonate my immortal soul. I'm absolutely sure that I can blow up the shackles on my body and even blow up one of your shackles. You're right. Apotheon Myriad notes nodded. None of us can withstand your immortal soul detonation given our current injuries. Having said that, Apotheon Myriad notes expression suddenly shifted and he hurriedly asked, Junior Brother Soaring Plum, the restriction on your body, that's right. Soaring Plum nodded without a word and said, I've been drawing thunder and lightning into my body for the past 100 years and using it to break the restriction on my body. It won't be a problem for me to detonate my immortal soul. A cold light flashed in Apotheon Myriad notes' eyes and he asked in a deep voice, Junior Brother Soaring Plum, do you still remember the soul returning / that Master taught us? Apotheon Soaring Plum's eyes lit up and he immediately replied excitedly, I remember. I've also practiced the soul returning / divine ability. If those 4 perfected golden immortals are not here, I'm absolutely sure that I can use the soul returning / to cut off the shackles on your body. Apotheon Myriad notes pondered for a moment and slowly said, it's better to fight for your life than to sit still and wait for death. Let's wait for 3 more days. If Myriad Thunder Supreme and the other 2 perfected golden immortals haven't returned within 3 days, you'll risk damaging your immortal soul to cut off your shackles. Remember, if you succeed, you must not lend us a helping hand. You must escape immediately. You must find a way to escape as long as there's a chance. I can't abandon you and escape alone, Senior Brother Myriad notes, said Apotheon Soaring Plum hurriedly. The 4 of us, junior brothers and sisters, will leave together and die together. What a fool. Apotheon Myriad notes said in a deep voice, you'll be buried with us if you stay. It's better to escape from here and find a way to come back to save us in the future. You're the smartest one among us, and I believe you can save us in the future. Apotheon Soaring Plum shook his head bitterly and said, I understand your thoughts, Senior Brother. It's already a good deal for the 4 of us to survive. However, I will still say the same thing. I will never abandon any of you. Once I can really cut off my shackles, I'll cut off the shackles on you first and then rush into those 4 perfected golden immortals to detonate my immortal soul. If we can survive, it'll be you guys. Suddenly, 4 figures appeared out of thin air. They were the 4 perfected golden immortals guarding them. In the surroundings, tens of golden immortals also appeared one after another. The big ending of the Return to the Immortal World this month, as well as the subsequent plot of the Immortal World and the introduction of the main characters, will be updated on the official account one after another. Brothers and sisters who haven't followed the official account of Prestige, please use your little finger to follow it. Quiet Night's official WeChat account is JYJS00, or directly search for Quiet Night Thoughts in the subscription account to follow it. Chapter 1312. In front of the 4 perfected golden immortals, a pitch-black soul stone was torn apart. Under their watchful eyes, it turned into powder and drifted away with the wind. In a flash, the complexions of the 4 perfected golden immortals changed and disbelief appeared on their faces. They clearly knew what the soul stone's shattering meant. Master! Master is dead. A black-robed perfected golden immortal with long blood-colored hair said in disbelief. The lips of the other 3 squirmed, but they didn't know what to say. Who was their master? He was a supreme in the immortal world. In the entire immortal world. How many supremes were there? Perhaps less than 100 of them. But now, their master, Myriad Thunder Supreme, had actually died. Apotheon Myriad Notes, Soaring Plum, 9 Immortal Fingers, and Enchantress Yu, who were chained to the cliff, all wore strange expressions. The sudden death of Myriad Thunder Supreme shocked them. Suddenly, 9 Immortal Fingers burst into laughter. Ha ha ha! Myriad Thunder Supreme is dead? It's good that he's dead. He's so sinful that he's able to live until now is already a blessing from the heavens. Just you wait. Maybe it won't be long before you all die and your souls will scatter. Apotheon Enchantress Yu also looked ecstatic and laughed aloud. That's right, Senior Brother 9 Immortal Fingers is right. Myriad Thunder Supreme is despicable and shameless. It's best for him to have his soul scatter. Die. All of you. The more of you die, the happier I'll be. The blood-colored long-perfected golden immortal's face looked grim. A long whip covered in frost energy appeared in his hand out of thin air and he fiercely lashed it toward Apotheon Enchantress Yu from a distance of 10,000 meters. Puff, 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 he lashed her dozens of times in a row, each of which caused her skin to break and her flesh to rot. After the dozens of lashes, Apotheon Enchantress Yu's wound was already covered in ice, freezing the overflowing blood. However, this wasn't the biggest damage to Apotheon Enchantress Yu. This long whip was called the Soul Whipping Whip, and its damage to the immortal soul was even more severe. Despite Apotheosis Enchantress Yu's firm will, her immortal body still trembled due to the heart-wrenching pain in her immortal soul. She even bit her red lips. Amidst the endless pain, Apotheon Enchantress Yu's expression was distorted. But she still let out a bitter smile and shouted, "Come on, keep hitting me. Kill me if you have the ability. Otherwise, there will come a day when I will definitely tear you into pieces. I will not destroy your immortal soul. I will torture you day and night until my life comes to an end. You don't need to do it. Me. You don't need to destroy it, how I'll give you a hand." A voice came from afar. By the time the voice faded, the person had already appeared tens of thousands of meters away. Perf, Iman's immortal, immortals of the perfected Imals, dragon Imals, soul. Demon, I have of, Imals of, dragon Imals, I have. Kill. Apotheosis Bella was the fastest and instantly appeared in front of the 4 perfected golden immortals. Her innate immortal weapon was like the Grim Reaper's scythe. Even though she didn't take the initiative to attack the golden immortals, the aftermath of her immortal sword still killed several golden immortals and severely injured more than a dozen people. Who are you? The red-haired perfected golden immortal's complexion greatly changed and fear filled his eyes. He could sense Apotheosis Bella's aura and immediately turned pale. He roared again, "Are you the ones who killed my master?" Tan Xiu's figure was as fast as lightning and appeared in front of the red-haired perfected golden immortal almost in an instant. Although Star Tears and Sable Fiend Scorpio were following him, he directly sent a voice transmission to the 2 women to prevent them from participating in the fight. "Don't act recklessly, Your Majesty." Star Tears was very anxious. She didn't have much affection for this great Tang Heavenly Emperor, but he was the one who bought her out of the convict arena and promised to return her freedom after 5,000 years. The most important thing was that after getting along with Tan Xiu, she found that he hated Great Emperor Danqing and Zither Demon Jiuyao very much. Therefore, she had fantasized countless times that if this great Tang Heavenly Emperor could maintain such an attitude and keep targeting Great Emperor Danqing and Zither Demon Jiuyao, it would be of great help to the Rosefinch holy sect. However, she never expected that Tan Xiu, who had never shown his strength and was at most comparable to an earth immortal, would actually fight a perfected golden immortal powerhouse. Despite the fact that the opponent was just an early-stage perfected golden immortal. The red-haired perfected golden immortal's complexion was pale. He looked at Tan Xiu, who was dashing towards him, and a disdainful look flashed in his eyes. Knowing that he couldn't defend this place, he didn't have any fighting spirit at all. Almost at the moment when Tan Xiu came in front of him, he was like a lamb being driven by a whip. He tried to sweep Tan Xiu away and then escape as fast as possible. Even at this moment, most of his attention was focused on Star Tears and Sable-Fiend Scorpio, who were 100 meters behind Tan Xiu. Devour. A chilling light flashed in Tan Xiu's eyes. A terrifying suction force erupted from his body, causing everyone within a kilometer away from him to tremble uncontrollably. The red-haired perfected golden immortal's complexion turned sluggish. He noticed that his body was forcibly moving a little toward Tan Xiu, while the long whip he waved swept past Tan Xiu's side. He immediately felt somewhat humiliated. Get lost. He waved the long whip and lashed it toward Tan Xiu again. Fuse. Tan Xiu instantly transformed into 8 figures and directly appeared in all directions around the red-haired perfected golden immortal. Just as the red-haired perfected golden immortal slightly frowned, his body suddenly shook. Just as he wanted to use the soul whipping whip to whip Tan Xiu away, he was horrified to find that the whip passed through several figures of Tan Xiu without encountering the slightest obstruction. Puff, the red-haired perfected golden immortal suddenly lowered his head. When he saw a palm penetrating his left chest and appearing in his line of sight, fear crazily multiplied inside him. Pain, the next moment, he was drowned by a heart-wrenching pain. A crazed look flashed in Tan Xiu's eyes. The terrifying devouring aura was like a magnet that controlled the red-haired perfected golden immortal's body. Traces of blood energy, immortal force, and spiritual essence were continuously extracted by Tan Xiu. 1 second passed. In just 1 second, Tan Xiu completed the last step of the magical fusion. As the red-haired perfected golden immortal struggled desperately, his 8 figures finally fused together. His arm rushed out of the red-haired perfected golden immortal's body, his right foot stretched out from the red-haired perfected golden immortal's right foot, and his head, it was as if Tan Xiu's whole body drilled out of the red-haired perfected golden immortal's body. With a burst of blood mist, the dignified perfected golden immortal was directly killed by Tan Xiu. Even his immortal soul was fragmented and then sucked into Tan Xiu's body by the terrifying devouring power. It turned into energy that was swallowed into the Dantian universe and integrated into the planets. How is this possible? Star Tears' pupils shrank and a look of disbelief burst out from her eyes. Just now, she was full of anger, blaming Tan Xiu for overestimating himself and acting recklessly. He actually wanted to fight a perfected golden immortal alone. But now, she was thoroughly shocked by Tan Xiu's means and was shocked to the point that it was hard to recover. In the surroundings, whether it was Apotheosis Bella who was attacking the other perfected golden immortals or the dozen or so perfected golden immortals, although they were attacking the enemies, they all diverted a bit of their attention to the battle between Tan Xiu and the red-haired perfected golden immortal. However, the battle had ended in an instant, and the outcome had shaken all of their hearts. Sable-Fiend Scorpio stood hundreds of meters away in the air and watched helplessly as the red-haired perfected golden immortal was killed by Tan Xiu in an instant. Her mouth gaped open and her eyes stared wide. As if she couldn't believe what she saw, she raised her arm and rubbed her eyes hard. Are my eyes playing tricks on me? Master, did he really kill a perfected golden immortal in an instant? Sable-Fiend Scorpio felt that her worldview had been subverted. It was because an ordinary immortal who had just broken through to the immortal stage had unexpectedly slaughtered a perfected golden immortal with his own hands. Tan Xiu ignored the gazes of the others. Even though his hands were stained with blood, he didn't have any intention to wipe them. He trod on the void and came step by step to the front of Enchantress Yu, who was chained to the cliff. He took out a healing pill from his interspatial ring and directly fed it to her mouth, saying in a deep voice, "Take it and heal yourself." Apotheosis Enchantress Yu stared at Tang Xiu in a daze. She faintly felt that this young man in front of her was very familiar, as though she had seen him somewhere before. But no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't remember where she had seen him, nor could she recall any interaction between them before. Who are you? Tan Xiu took a deep breath and said, I'm the one who saved you. Don't worry, I'll never be your enemy. Enchantress Yu was silent for a moment. Then, she opened her mouth and took the healing pill. She watched as Tan Xiu cut off the chains that chained her limbs. She gave Tan Xiu a grateful look and said, words can't express my gratitude. I, Enchantress Yu, will always remember your life-saving grace. Tan Xiu didn't speak to her again and instead appeared in front of Apotheon Myriad Notes, Soaring Plum, and 9 immortal fingers lightning fast. He cut off the chains that chained them with his divine sword and also took out 3 healing pills. After giving them to them, he said, don't talk or ask anything. Heal your wounds immediately. Star Tears, Sable-Fiend Scorpio, you two guard them. Star Tears and Sable-Fiend Scorpio came to the 4 people and checked their bodies. They quickly removed the seal's myriad thunder supreme left in their bodies and then brought the 4 to the ground to guard them while they healed. At this moment, all the golden immortals had been slaughtered. Apotheosis Bella had beheaded one of the 3 perfected golden immortals who didn't have the slightest intention to fight, whereas the other 2 were in imminent danger under the siege of the other perfected golden immortals. Don't waste time and kill them all, shouted Tan Xiu. Today's 3rd chapter is presented to you. Keep asking for guaranteed monthly votes and recommendation votes. Chapter 1313. Apotheosis Bella shouted and her figure flickered lightning fast and instantly appeared in front of the remaining 2 perfected golden immortals. Her innate immortal sword kept unleashing sword moves and quickly beheaded them. Aarg, a mournful scream came out of Tao Lord Green Firmament's mouth. His facial features began to distort and blood overflowed from the corner of his mouth. I killed your senior brother and master, so I have a blood feud with you. Tan Xiu sneered. Your life is under my control, so you're like a loyal dog in front of me now. But once I remove my control over you in the future, I'm afraid this blood feud will become the driving force for you to become stronger. You must die in order to cut the weeds and eliminate the roots. You treacherous bastard. I. Tao Lord Green Firmament howled miserably. Explode. Tan Xiu didn't give him the chance to finish his words and directly controlled his immortal soul to explode and scatter away. Shortly after, he looked at the others and said in a deep voice, Star Tears and Sable-Fiend Scorpio stay here. The rest of you, enter the Heavenly Abode artifact. Understood. It was the first time for everyone to witness Tan Xiu's ruthlessness, so their attitude became more respectful than before and entered the Heavenly Abode artifact. Xiu. Apotheosis Bella realized that she had said something wrong just as she opened her mouth. She quickly changed the topic and said, Great Tang Heavenly Emperor, our cooperation is over. I'll leave these 4 people from the Rosefinch Holy Sect to you. Tan Xiu slightly nodded and said, Apotheosis Bella, I'd like to thank you for your help this time. I won't keep you any longer after their injuries have healed. I'll go to the Immortal Lyceum to express my gratitude again when I have some free time in the future. Apotheosis Bella was reluctant to part with him, but she knew that Tan Xiu's identity couldn't be exposed, so she nodded and said, I'll be waiting for you in the Immortal Lyceum. Farewell. Having said that, she took her 4 perfected golden immortal subordinates and left at an extremely fast speed. Tan Xiu retracted his gaze and went straight to a boulder not far away, sitting cross-legged and waiting for Apotheon Myriad Notes group to finish healing. Time flew by. 12 hours passed in the blink of an eye. When Apotheon Myriad Notes floated up, the other 3 also moved. They instantly stood side by side with Apotheon Myriad Notes and looked at Tan Xiu, who was sitting cross-legged on a boulder not far away. The 4 of them understood that even if there were Supremes and more than a dozen perfected golden immortals, the real leader was the seemingly weak mysterious young man who could even kill a perfected golden immortal. Sable-Fiend Scorpio, you also enter the Heavenly Abode artifact and leave Star Tears to protect me. Tan Xiu opened his eyes and calmly said. Sable-Fiend Scorpio nodded slightly and her figure turned into a stream of light and entered the heavenly abode artifact. Star Tears. Apotheon Myriad Notes, Soaring Plum, 9 Immortal Fingers, and Enchantress. You turned to look at Star Tears, their eyes sparkling. Star Tears' appearance slightly changed. When she restored her original appearance, she forced a smile at the four and said, "I've made you suffer for the past 100 years. Martial Ant." Apotheon Myriad Notes group of 4 looked incredulous, followed by ecstasy on their faces. Even Enchantress, you shed tears and kowtowed in front of Star Tears. Star Tears helped the 4 of them up and sighed. "You 4 are great. Worthy of being disciples of my Rosefinch holy sect and worthy of being my nephew's good disciples." Apotheon Myriad Notes suppressed his surging emotions and respectfully said, "Thank you for coming to save us, Martial Ant. Too many of our people have come here in the past 100 years, but they also lost their lives because of the 4 of us. If it weren't for the fact that we couldn't commit suicide, we would have died long ago." Star Tears faintly sighed and said, "You don't need to thank me. The one who really saved you is him, Great Tang Heavenly Emperor. In fact, I'm also in deep prison. If it weren't for him buying me out of the convict arena, I'm afraid it wouldn't have taken me long to die in the convict arena." "What?" The 4 were greatly shaken and their eyes shifted to Tan Xiu at the same time. They then cupped their fists and bowed. "Thank you for risking your life to save us, Great Tang Heavenly Emperor." Tang Xiu looked at them quietly, countless thoughts churning in his mind. He really wanted to tell the 4 of them his true identity, but he was afraid that if he told them, any of them would be captured in the future and his identity would be exposed, unless they could break through to the supremacy stage. Or he could use the soul seal spell on them. After a long while, Tan Xiu sighed inwardly and said, "If you want to thank me, then serve me for 5,000 years. As for the matters of the Rosefinch holy sect, you don't need to worry about it for the time being." The complexion of the 4 changed. Apotheon Myriad Notes took a step forward and cupped his fists. "Great Tang Heavenly Emperor, you've saved our lives. We should stay by your side and serve you for 5,000 years since you've asked for it. But my sect is now in a precarious situation and is in danger. I hope you can forgive us, Great Tang Heavenly Emperor. We must return to the Rosefinch holy sect to protect the sect and fight against the enemies." "You can still fight the enemies by staying by my side," said Tan Xiu lightly. "Don't tell me that the previous battle where Zither Demon Jiuyao's martial uncle, Myriad Thunder Supreme, and 6 enemy-perfected golden immortals weren't to help the Rosefinch holy sect?" The 4 quickly exchanged glances. Apotheon Myriad Notes then said, "You're right. It was indeed to help the Rosefinch holy sect. But we're always restless if we don't return to the sect. I hope you can forgive us, Great Tang Heavenly Emperor." Suddenly, Star Tears looked at Tan Xiu and said in a deep voice, "Your Majesty, if I remember correctly, you promised me that you'll give me an explanation once the 4 of them are rescued. I want to know who you are." "Do I really have to know?" Tan Xiu forced a smile. "That's right," answered Star Tears decisively. "Why do you have to do this?" asked Tan Xiu helplessly. "You saved my life, so it's naturally not a problem for me to serve you for 5,000 years, said Star Tears. "But you must give me an explanation if you want them to be loyal to you." Tan Xiu was silent for a moment and then slowly said, "Let's go back to the Misty Spring Ocean. I'll tell you my true identity after we return to the Misty Spring Ocean. However, I also need you to promise me a condition." "What condition?" Apotheon Myriad Notes' expression shifted and he immediately asked. "You've recovered your ability to move and your injuries have healed a lot," said Tan Xiu. "But you must not have any contact with your former acquaintances before I tell you my true identity. You must even stay in the heavenly abode artifact." Apotheon Myriad Notes group of 4 hesitated. Star Tears took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "I promise you on their behalf." Tan Xiu nodded and said, "Let's enter the heavenly abode artifact now. We've just gone through a battle, especially Myriad Thunder Supreme's death. Zither Demon Jiuyao should have learned about it, so maybe he'll come here soon. That's why we need to leave as soon as possible. We can't use the spatial teleportation array if we want to completely erase our traces, said Star Tears. At the very least, we can't use the teleportation arrays in the 3 nearby immortal domains anymore. I understand, said Tan Xiu with a faint smile. As Star Tears' group of 5 entered the Heavenly Abode artifact, Tan Xiu called Sablefiend Scorpio out and asked her to fly with him. A year later, Tan Xiu finally returned to the misty spring ocean. A smile finally appeared on his handsome face when he saw Gu Yen, sitting cross-legged on the edge of the repose cliff. Yen, The soft call woke up Gu Yen, from her cultivation. In a flash, an excited look appeared on Gu Yen's beautiful face. She flashed to Tan Xiu lightning fast and plunged into his arms. With a bit of grievance, she said, "You're finally back, master. You've been gone for more than a year this time. I missed you and was very worried about you. I don't want to be separated from you again." Tan Xiu gently patted her back and smilingly said, "Don't worry, Yen, If it weren't for my bad luck, there wouldn't be many people in the entire immortal world who could kill me now." Gu Yen nodded vigorously. After releasing Tan Xiu, she hurriedly asked, Did you rescue the 4 of them?" "I did," answered Tan Xiu with a faint smile. "That's great," Gu Yen said excitedly. "Can I see them now, master?" Tan Xiu shifted to Sablefiend Scorpio and lightly said, "Enter the Heavenly Abode artifact first. I'll release you later to let you cultivate and live outside." "Understood." After Sablefiend Scorpio entered the Heavenly Abode artifact, Tan Xiu called Star Tears, Apotheon Myriad Notes, Soaring Plum, 9 Immortal Fingers, Enchantress Yu, and Apotheon Mu out of the artifact. As he led everyone into the cave residence inside Repose Cliff, his eyes shifted to the scroll painting hanging on the wall. Star Tears' expression moved and she said, "We're back, and we're all waiting for your explanation." Tang Xiu turned around and 2 lines of tears rolled down his cheeks. He recalled the time when he saw Star Tears in the convict arena and her miserable appearance. He also recalled the tragic scene of his 4 disciples being hung on the cliff of the Heavenly Mountain. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, he knelt in front of Star Tears, took out her soul tablet from his body, and slowly handed it to her. A look of disbelief appeared on Star Tears' face. She never dreamed that this great Tang Heavenly Emperor, who controlled her life and death, would actually kneel to her. She didn't expect that this mysterious great Tang Heavenly Emperor would return her soul tablet to her. Why? Star Tears didn't take her soul tablet but stared at Tan Xiu in a daze and asked. Tan Xiu's facial muscles moved and slowly adjusted to his former appearance. Then, he murmured, "Anti-Star Tears, this Xiu is unfilial and made you suffer so many hardships and sufferings. I didn't dare to recognize you so easily in order to hide my identity." Plop, Gu Yen, and Apotheon Mu, who stood behind Tan Xiu, also knelt towards Star Tears. Star Tears looked as though she was struck by lightning. Her whole body swayed a few times and she staggered back a few steps, looking at this familiar face with a dull expression. She didn't realize that her nails had dug deep into her flesh and blood was dripping from her fingers. Chapter 13-14. Tan Xiu knelt on the ground and looked at Star Tears' incredulous expression. Then, he bitterly said, "I'm Xiu, your nephew, Anti-Star Tears. I was indeed dead, but now I'm alive again." Star Tears took out a sharp dagger and stabbed it into her thigh under everyone's watchful eyes. Blood flowed and a piercing pain appeared. She pulled out the dagger and couldn't control her immortal force to seal it. She threw herself to Tan Xiu and knelt on the ground. She tightly grabbed Tan Xiu's arms, widened her eyes, and asked in a trembling voice, You're really Xiu?" Tan Xiu nodded heavily and let his tears fall. Then, he said word by word, "It was you who tortured me 10,000 years ago and made me lay a solid foundation on the path of cultivation. 9,000 years ago, it was you who took me to the demon realm and fought with the demon clan's experts for 3 years. 8,000 years ago, it was you who went to the Azura realm alone to find the Adumbra flower in order to refine the primordial chaos pill for me. 7,000 years ago, it was you who broke into the desolate secret palace alone to save me and brought me out after a narrow escape. 6,000 years ago, it was you who personally slaughtered a 5-clawed golden dragon and extracted its tendon to refine the 7-colored phoenix zither for you. 5,000 years ago, it was you who gave me the 9 revolutions God's soul art, which made my spiritual sense soar. 4,000 years ago, it was you who... Enough. Enough. Star Tears hated tears the most in her life, but at this moment, her face was already covered with tears. She completely lost control of her emotions and hugged Tan Xiao in her arms, wailing loudly. Once, she learned that her nephew failed to transcend his tribulation and his soul was scattered. She was in so much pain that she felt like thousands of ants were gnawing at her heart. She crossed hundreds of immortal domains to rush to the place where her nephew transcended his tribulation. She searched there for 100 years, but she couldn't find her nephew's body. Once, she blamed herself countless times for not rushing to protect her nephew when he crossed his tribulation. She didn't even see her nephew for the last time. It had been 700 to 800 years. She lived in pain and self-blame every day, praying countless times that her nephew's soul was not scattered. She prayed that her nephew was still alive in some corner of the world. The dream had come true. Star Tears hugged Tan Xiu's body and cried like a child. Moss. Master. Apotheosis myriad notes, soaring plum, 9 immortal fingers, and enchantress, you were completely dumbfounded. They had made countless guesses about Tan Xiu's identity over the past year and thought of countless possibilities. However, they never dared to dream that their master, Star Cultivation Great Emperor, was actually still alive. Master had passed away. The 4 of them were in great pain. If not for the fact that the Rosefinch Holy Sect was attacked by a powerful enemy, they would have gone into seclusion for thousands of years, guarding the place where they had spent time with their master. Now, Master had actually come back to life and appeared in front of them again. He had even risked his life to rescue the 4 of them from Heaven Mountain. No wonder. It was no wonder that someone was willing to take the risk of becoming enemies with a supreme being and rescue the 4 of them from the sky. This person was Master. Plop, the 4 of them knelt behind Tan Xiu and cried like children. After a long time, Tan Xiu released Star Tears' arm and reached out to pull her up from the ground. He then turned around and pulled Apotheosis Myriad Notes and the other 3 up one by one. Looking at these disciples he had raised and trained, Tan Xiu patted Apotheosis Myriad Notes' shoulder and bitterly said, "It's been hard on you all these years." "It's not hard on us, Master." Apotheosis Myriad Notes shook his head desperately. Tan Xiu took a deep breath and turned to look at Star Tears. Then, he said, "Anti-Star Tears, please take the soul plate." "But I must cast the soul seal curse on you." "The soul seal curse?" Star Tears pondered for a moment and immediately understood Tan Xiu's thoughts. She directly relaxed her mind and said in a deep voice, "Even if you didn't mention it, I would have told you sooner or later. The news that you're still alive must be concealed. It's because of my insistence that you had to reveal your identity. That's why I cast the soul seal curse on us. Once any of us is captured in the future and the other party wants to read our memories through soul search, it will trigger the soul seal curse and directly erase all our memories." Apotheosis Myriad Notes also firmly nodded and said, "You're right, Master. We haven't broken through to the supremacy stage yet, so we'll still be threatened by soul search. Only by casting the soul seal curse on us will your identity not be exposed in the future." "That's right. Come on, Master." Apotheon Soaring Plum and the other 2 also spoke. Tan Xiu took a deep breath. Not only did he cast the soul seal curse on Star Tears and Apotheosis Myriad Notes, but he also asked Tan Xiu to cast the curse on Apotheon Mu and Gu Yan. After finishing, Tan Xiu said, "Anti-Star Tears, I actually succeeded in crossing the tribulation back then. He told the truth from beginning to end and finally said, I just didn't expect that the two brothers I once trusted the most would actually harbor evil intentions. They even wanted to cut the weeds and uproot the entire Rosefinch holy sect. Now that I've come back alive, it'll be their doomsday in the future. In the coming days, I need you to stay by my side and help me raise a huge army of immortals, as well as countless outstanding experts. I'll do everything I can to get cultivation resources and restore my strength to the supremacy stage. Star Tears said resolutely, this isn't just about you. It's the common goal of all of us. Xiao, you'll be the great emperor of the Great Tang Empire in the future, and we'll all be your subjects. I firmly believe that the Great Tang Empire will continue to grow under your leadership and continue to produce peerless geniuses and true powerhouses. When the time comes, we'll attack the enemy's lair and exterminate them all. Time flew by, and the years passed by quickly. In the blink of an eye. It had been 10 years since Tang Xiu returned to the immortal world. During these 10 years, apart from running around everywhere in the beginning, he spent most of his time in the Misty Spring Ocean, desperately cultivating and constantly changing the situation in the Misty Spring Ocean. Now, the entire Misty Spring Ocean had become an iron bucket under Tan Xiu's management. The Starfield didn't occupy a very large area, but he had formed a huge army. The Dragon Army had 500,000 people. The Tiger Army had 500,000 people. The Phoenix Army had 500,000 people. The Martial Army had 500,000 people. The four major armies had a total of 2 million soldiers. Although most of them were children who had been trained since childhood, they had achieved initial results after 10 years of training. In the past decade, the four corps commanders, Tang Guang, Moo, Hao Lei, and Qin Shaohua, had constantly led teams to sweep through the surrounding star fields to temper themselves in life and death battles. Hence, their combat experience was very rich. Repose Cliff. Tan Xiu stood on the edge of the cliff and looked at the 4 rows of generals of the Great Tang Empire in front of him. Then, he said in a deep voice, start the expansion plan. Understood. Hundreds of generals of the 4 major armies in battle robes knelt on one knee and shouted loudly. After a while. After they left, Gu Yan appeared next to Tan Xiu. With a smile on her beautiful face, she said, Master, I just received news that Jin Shi and the members of the Shadow Division found the secret palace of Drunken Immortal Supreme in the Immortal Dongting domain. There are about 3 years left before the opening of that secret palace. Experts from dozens of immortal domains are now rushing to the Immortal Dongting domain. Should we join them? Immortal Dongting domain? Drunken Immortal Supreme? A surprised look appeared on Tan Xiu's handsome face. He said, 80,000 years ago, Drunken Immortal Supreme was extremely tyrannical and had few opponents in the entire immortal world. Rumor has it that when he ascended to the god's realm, he left a message saying that he left his inheritance in the immortal world. I didn't expect that it would be discovered now, and it's even in the Immortal Dongting domain. Gu Yan sighed. For hundreds of thousands of years, the number of powerhouses who ascended to the god's realm in the entire immortal world is definitely no more than 100, and Drunken Immortal Supreme is also one of the most outstanding ones among them. The secret palace he left behind will definitely drive countless powerhouses in the immortal world crazy. If I remember correctly, according to historical records, Drunken Immortal Supreme said that the secret palace he left behind doesn't allow powerhouses at the supremacy stage to enter, said Tan Xiu. Only perfected golden immortals can enter and obtain his inheritance. Moreover, the higher one's cultivation is, the more dangerous it is inside the secret palace. I think it's very suitable for us, said Gu Yan, with a smile. Tan Xiu nodded. After thinking for a moment, he said, since it's a huge opportunity, we naturally have to go there. I don't have much interest in the inheritance left by Drunken Immortal Supreme, but the countless immortal treasures he left behind are what we need. You must know that the richest immortal 80,000 years ago was none other than Drunken Immortal Supreme. There are only about 3 years left before the secret palace opens, said Gu Yan. I'm afraid it will take us nearly 2 years to get there from here. If we encounter some troubles and delays on the way, I'm afraid it will take even longer. Yen, I want you to stay here and guard the Great Tang Empire for me, said Tan Xiu. I don't want to stay, master. Gu Yen, forced a smile. Just let Auntie Star Tears help you manage the Great Tang Empire. Auntie Star Tears' character is not suitable. Tan Xiu shook his head. But, Gu Yen's lips squirmed and she wanted to say something. Tan Xiu raised his hand to interrupt her and said seriously, I understand your thoughts, Yen. But those who can make me feel at ease are either too weak in cultivation or not good at controlling the entire Great Tang Empire. Only if you stay here can I fight for the opportunity with peace of mind. Promise me, Yen. Tan Xiu hugged Gu Yen and whispered in her ear, Yen, I'm afraid the secret palace left by drunken Immortal Supreme is full of dangers. I don't want any accidents to happen to you after I get you back. Only by staying here can I feel at ease. I believe you are well aware of your master's ability. If I don't have any burdens, the chances of getting the treasures in the secret palace will be greatly increased. Just wait for me to come back. Although Gu Yen was full of unwillingness, she couldn't say anything when Tan Xiu took the initiative to hug her. She could only nod silently and said, Master, you must take care of yourself. Even if you get nothing, you must return safely. Chapter 13-15. The Great Tang Empire was recruiting soldiers and training millions of cultivators, so the resources needed were absolutely astronomical. However, the resources obtained from slaughtering myriad Thunder Supreme, 6 perfected Golden Immortals, and dozens of Golden Immortals might have solved the Great Tang Empire's urgent need, but it was still far from enough in the long run. Tan Xiu didn't bring too many people with him when he left the Misty Spring Ocean. Only Star Tears and Sablefiend Scorpio followed him. Apart from the top brass of the Great Tang Empire who knew about his departure, he told everyone else that he was in secluded cultivation. Renault City, Immortal Lyceum. After landing outside the city, Tan Xiu looked at the hundreds of heavily armed immortal soldiers on both sides of the city gate, who were coldly interrogating every member who entered the city. A thoughtful look appeared in his eyes. Pass Jade Slip. When Tan Xiu followed the stream of people and came to the city gate, a soldier frowned and looked at him coldly, his eyes lingering on Tan Xiu. Tan Xiu took out the Pass Jade Slip and handed it to him. Where did you get it from? The soldier glanced at the Pass Jade Slip and asked with a slight frown. Misty Spring Ocean, answered Tan Xiu. A glint flashed in the soldier's eyes and he lightly asked, Are you from the Great Tang Empire? That's right, replied Tan Xiu with a smile. Remember, you're not allowed to stir up trouble in Renault City, nor are you allowed to fight with others. If you encounter an enemy, you can either leave Renault City to settle your grievances or go straight to the convict arena to fight. Anyone who violates the rules will be arrested and executed by the immortal army guarding the city. I've been to Renault City before, asked Tan Xiu. There were no such rules here before, right? The soldier snorted coldly. The rules of Renault City were set more than a year ago, and every city in the Immortal Lyceum has the same rules. If you think the rules are unreasonable, you don't have to enter. It seems so. Bella has already started to clean up the outsiders in the Immortal Lyceum's sphere of influence. With her order, the Great Tang Empire's army will soon occupy a lot of the Immortal Lyceum's territory. After the Great Tang Empire takes over the entire Immortal Lyceum, the hundreds of thousands of Immortal Lyceum soldiers will also become the Great Tang Empire's army. Within 10 years, the territory occupied by the Great Tang Empire would probably be twice as large as the current Immortal Lyceum. The overall military strength will also multiply. Tan Xiu took his travel jade slip and followed the crowd into the city. He could not help but smile bitterly. The larger the territory the Great Tang Empire occupies, the larger the size of its army, and the more resources it will need in the future. In the next 10 years, the Great Tang Empire won't be short of resources. But if we don't have a large amount of resources in the next 10 years, I'm afraid that we won't be able to make ends meet. After a long time. Only then did Tan Xiu dispel the various thoughts in his heart. His gaze swept across the bustling streets of the city. This time, he came out with star tears and sable fiend Scorpio without bringing any immortal stones, immortal crystals, or crystal essences. He handed over a large amount of wealth he seized from Myriad Thunder Supreme and the others to Gu Xiaoxue. However, some of the immortal treasures obtained by Myriad Thunder Supreme and the 6 perfected golden immortals were brought out by him. He planned to sell them through the immortal world's black market. After all, he couldn't let anyone know that it was the Great Tang Empire's people who killed Myriad Thunder Supreme and saved Apotheon Myriad Notes. The things he obtained from them couldn't be sold openly either. Otherwise, Zither Demon Jiuyao's people would notice it and investigate the Great Tang Empire through the clues. It would definitely cause trouble, and it might even attract Zither Demon Jiuyao's attention. In a remote corner in the northwest of the city, Tan Xiu rode a cloud-treading beast and followed behind several other cloud-treading beasts. On the back of these cloud-treading beasts were several men and women who had changed their appearance and figure. How long will it take? A thin man with braided hair and a dark blue flower pattern engraved on his forehead looked at the young man who was in charge of leading the way and asked. The young man smiled and said, "Don't worry, everyone. We'll arrive at the Eventide Market in at most half an incense stick of time. Once we get there, you'll be satisfied whether you want to buy or sell immortal treasures." The scale of each city's Eventide Market varies according to the size of the city, said Tang Xiu all of a sudden. Although Renault City is a large city in the Immortal Lyceum, it can only be regarded as a medium-sized city in the entire immortal world. Could it be that the scale of the Eventide Market here is even larger than the Eventide Market in some large cities? The young man turned his head and looked at Tan Xiu a few times. Then, he smiled and said, "Fellow immortal, you should rarely travel around the Immortal Lyceum, right?" "That's right," Tan Xiu said. "I've only been here once, and I was just passing by." The young man smiled and said, "That's right. There are a total of 3 cities with Eventide Market in the entire Immortal Lyceum, and Renault City's Eventide Market is the largest among them. If you know about the Immortal Lyceum Immortal Domain or the 3 surrounding Immortal Domains, you will know that Renault City's Dark Night Market is ranked in the top 3 among the 4 Immortal Domains." Tang Xiu slightly furrowed his brows. The young man's words made him change his view of Renault City. However, he was also keenly aware that the gazes of the few people around him had turned a bit malicious as they looked at him. This guy is harboring evil intentions. Tan Xiu was a meticulous person. He instantly realized that the young man wasn't a good person. Killing intent immediately rose in his heart. However, the young man didn't attack him, so he didn't want to make the first move. He secretly calculated that he could intercept and kill the young man when he found a hidden place. Eventide Market. It was located in the northwest corner of Renault City. The area it occupied was less than 1/10 of Renault City, but the area it covered was at least hundreds of thousands of square kilometers. There were countless oddly shaped buildings with millions of shops scattered around. Seeking Cauldron Pavilion. Tan Xiu's destination this time was also a very familiar black market branch. The Ascending Cauldron Pavilion was established tens of thousands of years ago by the Heaven Cauldron Oldman, and its branches could be found in every corner of the immortal world. The Ascending Cauldron Pavilion had a shop in almost every city with a black market. Compared to those black-hearted black market merchants, the Ascending Cauldron Pavilion won the praise of many people, be it in terms of reputation or price. Huh! A glint flashed in Tan Xiu's eyes the moment he stepped into the Ascending Cauldron Pavilion's door. He was keenly aware that the young man who acted as a guide had appeared in the street corner 10,000 meters away. There were also 2 thievish-looking young men beside him. "I don't mind sending you to hell if you're courting death." Tan Xiu sneered inwardly. After stepping into the Ascending Cauldron Pavilion's door, he saw a beautiful woman greeting him. She was just an ordinary cultivator with a nascent soul stage cultivation. But her every frown and smile carried a magical charm, indicating that she also cultivated the art of bewitchment. "Welcome, honored guest." The woman came to Tang Xiu's front with a smile on her face. "Put away your bewitchment art because it's useless in front of me," said Tan Xiu lightly. "Take me to the place where you buy immortal treasures." I have something to sell. The woman's expression slightly changed and her expression immediately turned respectful. After putting away her bewitchment art, she obediently led Tan Xiu to a secret chamber where they bought immortal treasures. Welcome. In the secret chamber, there was an old man in a gray robe with messy long hair. His originally sleepy appearance suddenly changed, and a smile appeared on his old face. Tan Xiu was shocked inwardly because he had seen this old man before. More than 4,000 years ago, he was in another city, in another ascending cauldron pavilion branch. Tan Xiu still clearly remembered that he was once received by this old man as a perfected golden immortal, and the old man was already a perfected golden immortal at that time. Now that 4,000 years had passed, to what extent had his cultivation broken through? Had he broken through to the supremacy stage? Greetings, fellow immortal. Tan Xiu slightly nodded. Are you going to sell your immortal treasures, little friend? Don't worry. My ascending cauldron pavilion has always been fair and you don't need to worry about confidentiality. We never ask about the origin of any immortal treasure we buy or how the seller got it. We only accept the treasure and pay the bill to complete the transaction. It's because of my trust in the Ascending Cauldron Pavilion that I directly entered your Ascending Cauldron Pavilion's door after coming to the Eventide Market. Tan Xiu smiled. With that said, after seeing the guide woman leave and close the door of the secret chamber from the outside, he took out an interspatial ring and lightly smiled. There are a total of 172 immortal treasures inside. Fellow immortal, please appraise them and quote a price. If it's really as you said and the price is fair, we can directly trade. The old man nodded with a smile and took the interspatial ring. After sweeping it with his spiritual sense, his expression suddenly changed. He looked up at Tan Xiu deeply and then fell silent. Half an hour later. The old man raised his head again and looked at Tan Xiu with a faint smile. 172 immortal treasures with a total value of 28 million crystal essences. This is the highest price our Ascending Cauldron Pavilion can offer. If little friend agrees, we can trade now. If little friend thinks the price is too low, you can try elsewhere. Tan Xiu said with a smile. The price is indeed fair. Let's trade. The old man smiled. After taking out the 172 immortal treasures from the interspatial ring Tan Xiu gave him, he put 28 million crystal essences into it and handed it to Tan Xiu with a smile. Little friend, you're very straightforward. I like guests like you who don't bargain. If little friend has anything to sell in the future, you can come to my Ascending Cauldron Pavilion. The price is definitely higher than other places in the Eventide Market. Tan Xiu said with a smile. That's for sure. Having said that, Tan Xiu directly bade farewell. When he stepped out of the Ascending Cauldron Pavilion, he found that the three sneaky figures were still there in the street corner 10,000 meters away. And when they saw him, they all showed a ruthless look. Suddenly, Tan Xiu's expression changed. He keenly sensed that there were two teams of immortal soldiers in battle robes tens of thousands of meters away, chasing four immortals like a torrent. Two of the immortals were covered with scars and looked particularly miserable. The other two immortals were also slightly injured. Sorry, I got drunk yesterday. I'll definitely make up for it today. I sincerely ask brothers and sisters to support me with your monthly votes and recommendation votes. Also, the return of the immortal world is coming to an end, but the story won't completely end like this. The Silent Night Society will continue to bring happiness to everyone in the form of a side story, but it's up to you to decide what side story to write. Chapter 13-16. The cruel law of the immortal world was the survival of the fittest. Tan Xiu had seen too many killings and battles, so he wasn't surprised. After retracting his gaze, he waved to a middle-aged man guarding the cloud-devouring beast on the roadside. After paying 10 immortal stones, he boarded the cloud-devouring beast's back and rushed toward the city gate. He didn't deliberately speed up and took more than half a day to leave Renault City. What surprised him was that the number of immortal soldiers outside Renault City's gate was more than 1,000. All of them were fully armed and looked as though they were facing a formidable enemy. Tan Xiu's expression shifted. He carefully listened to the discussions around him and immediately understood the cause of the matter. Old Fiend Izun has gone crazy. In just a few days, he slaughtered tens of thousands of people and killed more than half of the people in Clearwater Stockade near Renault City. Even the profound immortal powerhouse of Clearwater Stockade was killed by him. Now, he's coming to Renault City again. I'm afraid many people will die in Renault City if no powerhouse takes action. His only son was killed because he was too protective and connived at his son's misdeeds. Over the past few decades, how many people had his son and his followers harmed? How many wronged souls have they created? What about old Fiend Izun? Relying on his tyrannical cultivation, he sent people to help his only son solve the trouble he caused. He didn't blame his only son at all. Now that he was killed by someone else, he totally deserved it. Unfortunately, I'm not strong enough. Otherwise, I would have killed old Fiend Izun's only son. Now that such a scourge has finally been eliminated, the area within hundreds of thousands of miles can finally be peaceful for a long time. Our Renault City is guarded by perfected golden immortals. Even if old Fiend Izun is tyrannical, his cultivation is only at the golden immortal stage. Once he dares to come to Renault City and start a massacre, the perfected golden immortal guarding the city will naturally take action to deal with him. It would be a great thing if both father and son died. I heard that Venerable Eastwu and old Fiend Izun have some friendship. I wonder if Venerable Eastwu will deal with old Fiend Izun now that he came to Renault City to kill him. By the way, I heard that the 4 powerhouses who killed old Fiend Izun are being chased by the Immortal Army. If my guess is correct, they should be handed over to old Fiend Izun to calm his anger, right? Let's not leave yet. Let's observe the situation nearby. With so many immortal soldiers here, even if old Fiend Izun's anger is monstrous, I'm afraid he won't dare to start a massacre at the city gate. Yes, let's wait and see. After Tan Xiu understood the situation, he remembered that when he walked out of the Ascending Cauldron Pavilion, he saw the 4 immortals being chased by immortal soldiers. He immediately sighed in his heart. He faintly felt that Venerable Eastwu, the perfected golden immortal who guarded the city, wouldn't easily kill old Fiend Izun. It was very likely that he wanted to capture the 4 people who killed old Fiend Izun and hand them over to old Fiend Izun to quell his anger. Suddenly, a ray of blood-red light appeared tens of thousands of miles away, and a powerful aura swept over. As more than a dozen corpses fell to the ground beside the newcomer, over 1,000 immortal soldiers immediately stepped into the void and charged into the air in a battle formation. They looked at the white-robed old man who was dyed red with blood as if they were facing a great enemy. Get lost. I know the people who killed my son have fled into Renault City. If you dare to stop me, don't blame me for stepping over your corpses and stepping into Renault City's gate. Old Fiend Izun's killing intent was so intense that it could almost condense into a substantial substance. The cultivators entering and exiting the city gate just felt the surging murderous aura and fled in fright. In just a short quarter of an hour, except for a dozen profound immortals and golden immortals with decent strength outside the city gate, everyone else had fled into the city. The dozen powerhouses were also scattered on both sides of the city gate, quietly watching the changing situation in front of them. Izun, our Lord Guardian of the city has already sent people to arrest the 4 villains who killed your only son. Furthermore, Lord Guardian of the city said that you don't need to step into Renault City. He'll naturally send people to catch those 4 villains and hand them over to you. If you dare to step into Renault City, you'll become an enemy of our immortal Lyceum. Lord Guardian of the city won't show any mercy even if you have some friendship with him, said the stalwart general who commanded the immortal soldiers while holding an immortal spear. Old Fiend Izun unleashed his immortal sword and furiously roared, Venerable Eastwu is indeed very strong, but why would I be afraid of him? Get the fuck away. Else I'll kill you all even if you bring out Venerable Eastwu. The expression of the golden immortal army commander in the lead changed slightly. He was just an early-stage golden immortal, and the gap between him and the late-stage golden thread old Fiend Izun was huge. Even if he commanded 1,000 immortal soldiers, he would most likely be killed by old Fiend Izun if they really fought. Therefore, He quickly took out a message token and reported the situation at the city gate to Venerable East Wu. Renault City, City Lord Mansion. Venerable East Wu sat cross-legged on a futon beside a blooming pond, watching the red arowanas swimming in the pond with a faintly discernible aura lingering around him. He was an early-stage perfected golden immortal, but it had been 2,400 years since he broke through to this stage, yet he still couldn't cross this hurdle. Recently, he once followed Apotheosis Bella to the Heavenly Mountain Immortal Domain to rescue someone, and then received her order to start operating the Immortal Lyceum and eliminate some unstable factors. Such an unprecedented situation made him faintly realize that something big was about to happen. In the past, as a lofty and aloof perfected golden immortal, he thought that as long as he didn't take the initiative to provoke those supremacy stage powerhouses and had Apotheosis Bella's protection, he could rest easy and slowly cultivate and break through. However, the battle in the Heavenly Mountain, he could only watch helplessly as Tang Xiu instantly killed a perfected golden immortal powerhouse. It finally made him realize that his strength was still too weak. If a war were to break out in the future and affect the entire Immortal Lyceum, it would be difficult for him to protect himself given his current strength. It was precisely because of this that a sense of urgency arose spontaneously. Whoosh, a beam of light shot toward him. Frowning, he reached out and caught the summoning talisman. After reading its contents, his face flickered, and his eyes filled with anger. In the next moment, his figure disappeared on the spot. In almost the blink of an eye, he appeared outside the city. Izun, you've gone too far. Venerable East Wu indifferently glanced at Old Fiend Izun and said with an indifferent tone. Old Fiend Izun snorted coldly. Brother Wu Dong, I, Izun, respect your character and don't want to violate the rules here. However, he had to avenge his son's death. Let me personally enter the city and capture those 4 damned bastards. After that, I will leave immediately. Venerable East Wu shook his head and said, the rules have been set and no one can break them. I told someone to tell you that I will help you catch the 4 murderers and then hand them over to you. This is already my bottom line. I don't trust your people, Venerable East Wu, said Old Fiend Izun coldly. Since you insist on stopping me, then don't blame me for not giving you face. I've long wanted to experience the means of a perfected golden immortal like you, and now the opportunity has finally come. What? Venerable East Wu never dreamed that Old Fiend Izun would say such words. Judging from his appearance, this old fiend wanted to fight him. Was he insane? Could it be that he could defeat a perfected golden immortal by relying on his golden immortal stage? Venerable East Wu shot a deep look at Old Fiend Izun and indifferently said, since you want to fight me, then I'll fulfill your wish. But don't expect me to show mercy to you. A disdainful look flashed in Old Fiend Izun's eyes. His aura suddenly surged and increased tenfold in nearly a flash. Further, his skin began to dry and crack as scales drilled out of his skin. Soon, his whole body was covered with a layer of scales. Come on. Show me what you got. Disbelief was written all over East Wu's face as he exclaimed, you're not a pure immortal. You're a perfected golden immortal. That's right. Old Fiend Izun grinned and instantly unleashed his innate natal immortal sword. As he cast a sword art, layers of sword images instantly blotted out the sky and shot toward Venerable East Wu. Venerable East Wu put away his shock and vigilantly released his innate natal immortal weapon. He didn't know why Old Fiend Izun hid his identity, let alone why he hid his cultivation. He had sincerely befriended this old fiend before, but he didn't expect that this old fiend didn't trust him at all. Hence, he didn't need to show any mercy. Red Lotus Karmic Flame Sword. Venerable East Wu didn't act, but once he did, he unleashed his most powerful move with a thunderous momentum. At the same time, he cast a technique and karmic flame suddenly appeared out of thin air, pressing down on Old Fiend Izun with the momentum of a prairie fire. Old Fiend Izun disdainfully smiled. His ferocious face twisted as his body rushed toward Venerable East Wu. He was like a killer move amidst layers of sword techniques as he instantly appeared amidst the red lotus karmic flame that blotted the sky. At least hundreds of scales on his body silently shot out and blended into the innate natal immortal sword light, colliding with Venerable East Wu's attack. So strong. Venerable East Wu let out a muffled groan. He felt that his chest was hit by a solid bombardment and his body was immediately sent flying back hundreds of meters. During this process, he was horrified to find that old fiend Izun's speed was much faster than his. One of the sword images was like a long whip that fiercely lashed his chest. Puff! Blood splashed out. When Venerable East Wu was injured, his innate natal immortal weapon also bombarded the old fiend's waist and sent him flying. However, the scales on old fiend Izun's body were extremely hard and had a very terrifying defensive power. Even though the old fiend's waist was hit, it only caused a minor injury. Who the hell are you? Old fiend Izun shouldn't be your real identity. Venerable East Wu angrily roared. Old fiend Izun sneered. If you want to know my real identity, then show me the strength to make me dread you. Else, you can only be a muddled ghost today. Chapter 13-17. Venerable East Wu was furious. Although he realized that his current strength was not strong enough, being despised by old fiend Izun, whom he once regarded as a weakling, filled his heart with shame and made his killing intent sore. Almost in the blink of an eye, he took out a black pill and threw it into his mouth. I'd like to see how strong the capital behind your arrogance is. His innate natal immortal sword instantly burst out with a dazzling light. Countless sword shadows combined into one and a 10,000-meter-long saber beam fiercely slashed toward old fiend Izun. At the same time, his figure split into three. Two of them appeared next to old fiend Izun and also launched a crazy attack. Tri-line clone technique. Old fiend Izun suddenly became vigilant. He was very familiar with Venerable East Wu and naturally knew that this was his strongest attack. Therefore, as a fingernail-sized black skull flew out of his sleeve, in the blink of an eye, its size increased by 1,000 times. Black fierce beasts the size of cheetahs drilled out of the ears, noses, and throats of the skull that had expanded to the size of a giant skull, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws as they pounced toward Venerable East Wu. His innate natal immortal sword turned into thousands of sword beams and was grabbed by the black fierce beasts. In the blink of an eye, they arranged a sinister sword array in midair and clashed with the three sword beams. It leaked. Venerable East Wu's complexion drastically changed. He keenly sensed that the three black fierce beasts didn't form a sword array but appeared in front of him in a strange route. Even if he desperately tried to resist, one of the black fierce beasts still chopped off his left arm with its immortal sword and tore his chest with its sharp claws. Buzz! Venerable East Wu suddenly felt dizzy. Suddenly, the black fierce beast seized this moment and bombarded Venerable East Wu's chest with its head. Puff! In a flash. Venerable Wu's body flew backward and heavily hit the wall of the city wall. As a transparent light shield rose from the wall, he didn't cause any damage to the wall, but the huge impact made his injury worse. However, at this moment, although old fiend Izun's injury was lighter than Venerable East Wu's, the violent attack of the tri-line clone technique still made him spurt out a mouthful of blood. Who the hell are you? Venerable East Wu leaned against the city wall and roared after stabilizing his body. Old fiend Izun raised his hand to wipe the blood on the corner of his mouth and sneered. You do have some ability to injure me. Fine, I'll let you die knowing. My true body, the giant lizard fiend Venerable, has been hiding in the immortal Lyceum for thousands of years in order to avoid being hunted down by powerful enemies. If my only son hadn't been killed, my identity wouldn't have been exposed. Venerable East Wu, it's worth celebrating that you died in my hands. Venerable East Wu exclaimed in disbelief, it's you. So it's you, the devil. Thousands of years ago, you provoked a supremacy stage powerhouse and was chased miserably. I didn't expect you to transform into old fiend Izun and hide in the immortal Lyceum. No wonder you've been hiding your identity and cultivation all these years. However, if you want to kill me, you will have to pay a painful price. Swish swish, two figures flickered lightning fast and instantly appeared in front of old fiend Izun from the direction of the city wall. Two high-grade Magus artifacts bombarded him, while another lightning-fast figure appeared in front of Old Fiend Izun's flying body like a maggot attached to a bone. As the terrifying fists bombarded his body, the huge impact caused Old Fiend Izun to scream. What a hard body! Tan Shio transmitted his voice to Star Tears and Sable Fiend Scorpio. While Old Fiend Izun was being beaten back, his punches became fiercer. At the same time, he cast the Devour Divine ability to prevent Old Fiend Izun's body from flying backward too fast. What's going on? Old Fiend Izun never dreamed that powerhouses would appear just as he was about to confidently kill Venerable East Wu. Moreover, there were at least 3 perfected golden immortals among them. The sudden attack of those two had already scared him out of his wits, but the more violent and powerful enemy behind him made him unable to stabilize his body. Being bombarded again and again, the power simply exceeded his endurance, causing him to scream miserably. Even the scales on his body were smashed to pieces. Go to hell. Tan Shio unleashed his divine sword and directly pierced Old Fiend Izun's body at a very close distance. The violent primal chaos force also destroyed the Old Fiend's internal organs. At the same time, he also cast the Fusion Divine ability and forcibly sucked out Old Fiend Izun's immortal soul. He then began to dissolve the Old Fiend's immortal soul in a domineering manner, turning it into pure energy that integrated into his body to enhance his cultivation. Break for me. Tan Shio circulated the violent primal chaos force to his fist and then fiercely punched at Old Fiend Izun's body, whose vitality was fading away. Almost using all his strength, the blow directly penetrated Old Fiend Izun's body and sent him flying tens of thousands of meters away before exploding in midair. The energy is very pure. Tan Shio recalled the time when he killed another supremacy in the Heavenly Mountain and devoured and integrated his immortal soul's power, which made his strength advance by leaps and bounds. This time, he was very grateful that the energy refined from Old Fiend Izun's immortal soul was much purer and more massive. In the past, Tan Shio might not have understood the heaven-defying nature of the Devour and Fusion Divine abilities, but he would be a fool if he still didn't understand it now. Devour the opponent's immortal soul, smelt it, and fuse it into his own power. He had now finally figured out some of the mysteries of the heavenly art of cosmic genesis. The heavenly art of cosmic genesis was not only a cultivation technique to enhance the strength of his physique, but also a cultivation technique that allowed him to kill powerful enemies and absorb their most primordial energy. Last time, he fused with the immortal soul's energy of a perfected golden immortal, which gave him 100 years' worth of cultivation gains. This time, he estimated that he could increase his cultivation gains by at least 200 years. Slaughter. Devour. Fuse. Tan Shio took a deep breath. After thoroughly realizing the heaven-defying nature of the heavenly art of cosmic genesis, his eyes flickered and he had greater confidence in rapidly improving his cultivation. He originally thought that revenge would be a distant date, but now it seemed that it wasn't that far away. Star Tears and Sable Fiend Scorpio were moved when they saw how Tan Shio tyrannized Old Fiend Izun and easily killed him. They had seen Tan Shio kill a perfected golden immortal before. But at that time, the enemy's attention wasn't on Tan Shio at all. Hence, the enemy let his guard down and got instantly killed by Tan Shio. Luck played a big part in it. But this time, although Tan Shio was opportunistic at first and used the two's attacks as an entry point, his violent power and final attack made the two finally realize that Tan Shio's strength was comparable to that of a perfected golden immortal. Not far away from them. Venerable East Wu was tongue-tied as he looked at the 3 people who appeared. But when his eyes fell on Tan Shio, he immediately heaved a sigh of relief inwardly. Others might not know the identities of Tan Shio, Star Tears, and Sable Fiend Scorpio, but he knew something about them. After all, the scene of them joining hands to kill the enemy in the Heavenly Mountain was still vivid in his mind. He was well aware of one thing. If it weren't for these 3 people's sudden attack, the Old Fiend would have been severely injured and he would have been ruthlessly killed by the Old Fiend. It could be said that these 3 people in front of him were his saviors. Thank you for saving my life, Heavenly Emperor. Venerable East Wu came before Tan Shio and the others and cupped his fists respectfully. Tan Xiu faintly smiled and waved his hand. It's just a coincidence that we met each other. It's nothing much. Apotheosis Bella and I are on the same side. Since you're his subordinate, I'd like to say a few words, but I hope Venerable Eastwu won't blame me. Please speak, Heavenly Emperor, said Venerable Eastwu hurriedly. You're the city lord of Renault City, so you must protect all your people, said Tan Xiu. Even if you have some friendship with that old fiendy Zun, you shouldn't have sent people to capture the 4 people who killed his only son. Renault City has its own rules. As long as you're not an enemy of the Immortal Lyceum and are in the Immortal Lyceum City, then you're the Immortal Lyceum's people. Some things are better not to cross the line. Even if you're the one who made the rules, don't easily violate the bottom line. Venerable Eastwu slightly furrowed his brows and asked, I understand what you mean, Heavenly Emperor. But isn't it a bit too much? After all, those 4 are weak. Tan Xiu waved his hand again and interrupted him. It's a sense of security. That's why the people in the Immortal Lyceum's immortal domain, be it ordinary people or cultivators, don't distinguish between their strength and weakness, but distinguish between friend and foe. Only when you provide them with a sense of security can they truly rely on you and support you. Besides, those 4 may be weaklings in your eyes, but once they continue to break through in the future and truly grow up, they will become the power of the Immortal Lyceum. Having said that, Tan Xiu took a deep breath and his eyes swept over the thousands of immortal soldiers. Then, he said again, you must unite as one when dealing with your own people. Even an ordinary person may be able to influence the outcome of a battle at some special moment. I once saw 2 perfected golden immortals fighting, but at the end of the battle, both of them suffered heavy injuries and no longer had the ability to attack. But at this moment, a Foundation establishment cultivator passed by. I don't need to tell you the ending, do I? Venerable Eastwu was as though struck by lightning. His entire being was immersed in what Tan Xiu said. Unite? Unite as one. A sense of belonging. These seemingly ordinary words caused his state of mind to undergo an earth-shattering change. He even slowly raised his head and looked at the vast void in the universe's firmament. Many things in the world are made up of fewer things. A grain of sand is insignificant, but hundreds of millions of grains of sand can form a vast mountain. A drop of water is insignificant, but hundreds of millions of water droplets can form a vast ocean. A single person is singular in number, but hundreds of millions of people can form a terrifying organization. Gathering a few into many, they can shake the sun and moon. I'll update it at the 3rd chapter today. Quiet Night has been working hard on writing. I'll update another chapter at around 9 a.m. Brothers and sisters, please give me your monthly and recommendation votes. Chapter 13:18. A special aura converged above Venerable Eastwu's head. In just a quarter of an hour, a transparent energy poured from the sky into Venerable Eastwu's head and integrated into his body. Under the infusion of this energy, the aura emanating from Venerable Eastwu's body kept getting stronger. For 7 days, his aura had become several times stronger than before. Huff! Venerable Eastwu spurted out a mouthful of turbid air. The moment he opened his eyes, he looked at Tan Xiu with deep gratitude. He cupped his fists and bowed, thanking him. Thank you for your guidance, Heavenly Emperor. This is your good fortune, said Tan Xiu with a smile. Actually, I didn't expect that you would be able to break through to the mid-stage perfected golden immortal stage after listening to my words. I've been stuck at the early stage perfected golden immortal stage for 2,400 years, sighed Venerable Eastwu. No matter how much I accumulate and cultivate, I've never been able to take the next step. I know that it's because my comprehension of the heavenly Tao is insufficient. But I never thought that I would be enlightened after listening to your words, Heavenly Emperor. The fog in my heart was lifted and I directly broke through to the mid-stage perfected golden immortal stage. Now that you've broken through, a comfortable life no longer belongs to you. Tan Xiu smiled. You need to familiarize yourself with the strength of a mid-stage perfected golden immortal stage, and you also need to find an opponent who can match you to fight. Come with me. I'll give you an opponent and a battlefield. This, Venerable Eastwoo hesitated. Heavenly Emperor, my duty is to protect Renault City. I won't be able to explain it to Apotheosis Bella if I leave with you. The Immortal Lyceum's immortal domain will soon change. You're just leaving a step ahead. Tan Xiao smiled. Don't worry. I'll send a perfected golden immortal powerhouse to take over the task of guarding this place for you. Come with me to see Apotheosis Bella. She'll let you leave with me. Venerable Eastwoo looked confused. He really couldn't figure out the relationship between this great Tang Heavenly Emperor and Apotheosis Bella. It was reasonable to say that he had never seen this great Tang Heavenly Emperor in front of him apart from the time they met in the Heavenly Mountain, nor had he heard about him from Apotheosis Bella. This great Tang Heavenly Emperor seemed to have appeared out of thin air, but Apotheosis Bella trusted him very much. She even did something crazy like joining hands to kill a supremacy stage powerhouse. I'll go with you to see Apotheosis Bella. Venerable Eastwoo felt that it was necessary for him to learn the identity of this great Tang Heavenly Emperor from Apotheosis Bella if she really agreed to let him leave with him. Wait, Venerable Eastwoo's complexion slightly changed all of a sudden. He suddenly realized something. This great Tang Heavenly Emperor just said that the Immortal Lyceum's immortal domain would change soon, and he would send perfected golden immortals to take over the task of guarding Renault City. What did that mean? Renault City was a major city in the Immortal Lyceum domain and had always been under the control of Apotheosis Bella. Could it be that the great Tang Heavenly Emperor in front of him wanted to take over his place? Take Apotheosis Bella's territory as his own? If that was the case, would Apotheosis Bella just ignore it? Something's wrong. Who the hell is he? He previously led a large number of perfected golden immortals to the Heavenly Mountain to rescue the powerhouses of the Rosefinch Holy Sect. Could he be someone from the Rosefinch Holy Sect? Tan Xiao ignored Venerable Eastwoo's wild imagination and directly ordered Star Tears and Sable Fiend Scorpio to return to the Heavenly Abode artifact. He then looked at Venerable Eastwoo and said, I'll give you half an hour to arrange everything. We'll leave immediately after that. Come with me to see Apotheosis Bella. Understood. Venerable Eastwoo replied and quickly took out a few message tokens. Then, he respectfully said, I've already informed the commander of the immortal soldiers in the city with a message token. We can set off now. Let's go. Tan Xiao nodded. Half a month later. Tan Xiao and Venerable Eastwoo came to the residence of Apotheosis Bella of the Immortal Lyceum. Since all the guards knew Venerable Eastwoo, Tan Xiao was not stopped and directly entered the vortex portal and appeared on the square outside the palace. Just as the Immortal General stationed there was about to interrogate Tan Xiao's identity, his expression slightly shifted and he immediately said with a respectful expression, Venerable Eastwoo, Apotheosis Bella has ordered you to wait here for a while. She wants to see Great Tang Heavenly Emperor. Venerable Eastwoo stared blankly and immediately shot a suspicious look at Tan Xiao. He then slightly nodded and said, Then I'll wait here. Please, Great Tang Heavenly Emperor. Tan Xiao slightly nodded. The moment he flew into the palace, he immediately realized that the palace's portal had closed directly. A fiery red figure then threw herself at him from the 9 dragons' throne nearly in an instant. It was a familiar smell. Tan Xiao could only force a wry smile inwardly. He knew that Apotheosis Bella had always been enthusiastic, but he didn't expect that she would take the initiative to throw herself at him the moment they met again. However, Tan Xiao, who had secretly accepted her in his heart, neither dodged nor pushed her away. Instead, he gently hugged her delicate body and patted her delicate back. After a long time, Apotheosis Bella reluctantly released Tan Xiao and murmured, I really want to hug you forever until the end of time. Tan Xiao couldn't help laughing and said, if we really hug each other until the end of time, we'll both turn into fossils. Apotheosis Bella held Tan Xiao's hand and pulled him to the 9 dragons' throne with a happy smile on her face. Then, she softly said, I'll still feel happy even if I turn into a fossil. Although it's only been a short time since I left last time, it feels like a year to me. I've been praying that you can come earlier so that I can see you sooner. Even if it's just a glance, it's still a happy thing for me. Tan Xiu gently hugged her shoulder and softly said, just wait. Wait until we become stronger and get rid of all our enemies. I won't be bored even if you stay by my side every day. Apotheosis Bella nodded and said, I know that day won't be far away. Tan Xiu spread his left hand and an interspatial ring appeared in his hand. Then, he said, I heard from Apotheon Mu that you gave me all the immortal crystals and crystal essences of the immortal Lyceum, causing the immortal Lyceum to have a serious shortage of immortal crystals and crystal essences. I brought 20 million crystal essences this time to solve the urgent problem here. Won't it affect the Great Tang Empire if you take out so many crystal essences? Apotheosis Bella hurriedly asked. I don't need them for the time being. Tan Xiu raised his hand to interrupt her and said softly, we killed myriad Thunder Supreme, 6 perfected golden immortals, and dozens of golden immortals. We obtained 200 million immortal crystals and crystal essences from them. I placed all of them in the Great Tang Empire. As for these 20 million immortal crystals, I got them from selling the immortal treasures I got from them in the Eventide market, so the Great Tang Empire doesn't lack immortal crystals and crystal essences at the moment. In addition, I plan to leave for a period of time. If I'm quick, it will be 3 years. If I'm slow, it will be 10 years. Where are you going? Asked Apotheosis Bella hurriedly. Tan Xiu smiled and said, the secret palace of the drunken immortal supreme in the immortal abode immortal domain is about to open, so I'm going to explore it. Although I don't care about the inheritance of the drunken immortal supreme, he was once the richest immortal in the immortal world. If I can get a lot of wealth from the secret palace, I can ensure the smooth development of the Great Tang Empire in the future. Apotheosis Bella replied without hesitation, I've also heard about the opening of the drunken immortal supreme's secret art. At that time, there would probably be countless perfected golden immortals. In fact, there might even be supreme being level experts appearing. That's why I'm going with you. I've been waiting for you to come back and get your acceptance, so I can't lose you again. Who can recognize me with my current appearance? Tan Xiu forced a smile. Even if there are supremes there, I'm afraid they won't kill me as long as I don't provoke them, no? Apotheosis Bella desperately shook her head and seriously said, I must go with you. I can't let you bear even the slightest danger. Your current strength has regressed too much. I'm not worried about the perfected golden immortals, but I still have to be on guard against the supremes. Tan Xiu pondered for a moment and said, it's not impossible for you to go with me, but you must promise me that you won't act without my permission. If I want to restore my former strength, I'll have to go through brutal battles. I'm afraid it will take a long time for me to return to my former realm if I have your protection. Apotheosis Bella thought for a while and said, I understand what you said. But I won't act as long as you don't encounter any supremes outside the secret palace, alright? As for you entering the secret palace, I can't go with you. I heard that drunken immortal supreme's secret palace is a place where supremes will be attacked once they enter. I'm afraid they might really fall inside. Tan Xiu nodded and said, if it's the secret palace left by other supremes, I'm afraid many supremes will turn a blind eye to that warning. However, drunken immortal supreme's former strength, even when compared to me at my strongest, is likely to be even stronger. Therefore, no sovereign dares to break into the secret palace unless they are courting death. Apotheosis Bella nodded and sighed, yeah. The most important thing is that the secret palace created by drunken immortal supreme was set up before he ascended to the god's realm. Once he becomes a god, his strength will skyrocket. That kind of terrifying power is no longer something a supremacy stage immortal can compare with. Let's not talk about this first. If you want to go with me, you need to pay attention to a few things, said Tan Xiu. The first thing you need to do is to arrange for the perfected golden immortals under your command to join the Great Tang Empire. Also, carry out the merger plan I sent to you in secret. I'll arrange it right away. Apotheosis Bella was a swift and decisive person. She immediately summoned all the perfected golden immortals and arranged everything. Although the 6 perfected golden immortals under her command were full of doubts, they still agreed. The return to the immortal world would come to an end at the end of this month, but the story wouldn't end just like that. Silent Night will continue to bring happiness to everyone in the form of a special article, but the content of the article will be decided by the brothers and sisters. You can vote for today's article after following the WeChat account. Silent Night's WeChat account is JYJS00, or you can directly search for Silent Night ___.